And welcome back to All This Beef Wrestling Podcast, where we take a look at old wrestling pay-per-views and see how well they have aged. I am your curator, Paul E.V. Next to me, we have our head butcher, Mad Dog Mitch.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And next to him, we have our apprentice, Emily.
Hi.
And you guys who are going to be our customers for this experience. So I just wanted to go, how are you all doing? How's everything going? I think this is a good opportunity for us to kind of introduce ourselves.
Okay.
Since this is going to be our first episode. My name's Paul. Paul EV, if you want to call me that. We have, I would say a moderate amount of wrestling knowledge. I used to play a lot of like Raw Deal when it was big. It was a wrestling card game, WWE. So like
nerd.
Yeah. during a lot of these like pay-per-views and stuff, like I watched like the moves and I might refer to them incorrectly, but it was only because of Raw Deal. So that's how I learned most of my wrestling maneuvers. And then to be honest with you though, I mean, like I've been watching wrestling since I was in high school. I kind of took a gap for a while, like during a little after the Ruthless Aggression era, or during, I would say. Mm-hmm. And then I recently started watching the product again back in 2000, I would say late 2016, early 2017. So, and seeing like a lot more of the stuff that I was into when I started watching wrestling. And it's interesting that the pay-per-view that we're going to be reviewing today, which is going to be WCW Bash at the Beach 96, which for the people out there know how iconic of a moment this is. There was a lot of stuff on this card that I really liked personally when I was growing up. Like, I love that luchador flying style. Yeah. I like the cruiserweight stuff. So, like, and I'm seeing more and more of that today in today's wrestling, and that makes me more intrigued to watch it because I like the wrestling. But the storylines, as, like, a lot of storylines around this time were very hokey. But I feel like the storylines here, like, there's still some really good ones.
You just got to make up your own. That's what I was doing.
Yeah. So
turn it into a romantic comedy.
Pretty much always.
Yeah. So I guess in a way that's kind of what wrestling means to me, is just like I like watching the athleticism. I like watching the matches itself, the structure and the storytelling that can be told in a match, which one of the matches has, I think, some pretty good storytelling in ring here. Oh, yeah. And I can't wait to cover some of it. But yeah, we're going to definitely be reviewing this piece of beef right here. So Mitch, what is wrestling to you?
For me, it is definitely that entertainment aspect. I love the athleticism, but I've been watching it since, almost since I've been born. I mean, I was born March 87, and to wrestling fans out there, that's a very iconic month and year. WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan body slams Andre the Giant. So you can almost say that wrestling is just kind of has been in my veins. I've been watching it forever, according to my dad. When he'd be sitting there watching it, holding me, and I'm paying attention to Jake the Snake, kicking the snot out of Macho Man Randy Savage. I have taken small breaks, probably not as long as you. Like if I stop watching it, I usually only stop for maybe a month, and then I'd usually just get right back into it. But I love those storylines. I'm a guy, I love the hokey characters from the 80s. Give me the Jake the Snakes, the Macho King. Love that. And that's kind of what wrestling means to me.
And this is why Mitch is our head chef, as you will. He actually has been watching wrestling so long that he's our knowledge guy. He's the one who's showing Emily and myself, and I have moderate. But let's get to Emily and what wrestling is to her.
Oh boy! Hi everybody. Well, wrestling is to me. Well, I'm a recent fan. I've been watching about, I would say, 2 years, something like that. I've got 2 WrestleManias under my belt of current product stuff, basically. And then I have been kind of delving, spot checking some history and watching a lot of older pay-per-views for this and that, and kind of digesting a lot of other podcasts as well, because I kind of want to learn about the history, is what's been going on previously. But I think what kind of interested me about wrestling was nobody sold it to me before this as it's a play. It's completely, it is completely something that they're putting on for you. And, but it's also got like that athleticism. It's got a lot of the excess in both costuming, in, theatrics, and of course in, the way that these people take care of their bodies themselves. I'm also going to be here as representing your eye candy. I'm here to look at a lot of nice looking bodies. I'm going to play the artist card and say that I get to do that. And not just what they can do, like how they take care of themselves, but what they can do with their bodies. Just seeing really great flips, high flying spots, fun stuff like that, which is always more popular now. But I also do enjoy seeing a lot of interesting submission wrestling. It's just a celebration of what all of the things that the body can do.
Yeah, and I'm going to shout this out too, that Emily is the one who actually drew our title card. So
What's up?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I draw sometimes.
When you want to, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, well, just to kind of get you into it, I just want to let you guys all know, all of our segments we have fun meet names for all our segments. Welcome to our store. And before we get into it, I just want to let you know that what our grading system is. We have, before I get you into the prep table, I should say, which is Mitch's time to shine. But our rating system is, we have 1 star for us is a well done. So if we refer to a match as well done, is a 1-star match. 2 stars is a well. 3 stars is medium. 4 stars is medium rare. And then if we have a 5-star match, it's going to be harder to sway me than probably my co-hosts. But if we have a 5-star match, that's a rare. So I'm going to let Mitch take you to the prep table. Are you ready to go, Mitch, for this prep table?
Let's start cutting up some beef.
All right, well, here we go.
Guys, welcome to the prep table here. I'm just going to get you some backstory on the pay-per-view. I'm going to talk a little bit about the time period that it is, what's going on between different wrestlers, and just give you some background information, stuff that you kind of need to know when you're going into the pay-per-view.
He's very knowledgeable about this stuff, like I said.
Sometimes the stuff that the pay-per-views don't even tell you about while you're getting into them.
Oh my God, the video package for this one was awful.
So
I don't know
bad.
what you're talking about. That was like one of the best video packages I've ever watched.
It had
Sarcasm.
It had the softest talking. So it was just cheesy 90s action movie music, and then it was just you just see outsiders, and then it was just things flying across the scene.
Really bad.
What's
headlines.
WCW going to do? And it's just who's writing these headlines?
Oh no, man, they were fantastic. So cheesy, so great.
Oh yeah, mid-90s baby.
If you like cheese.
Mid-90s baby.
So pay-per-views that we are going to be talking about today is the Bash at the Beach, 1996. This took place July 7th of that year. It was held in the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, Florida. So they were actually near a beach. It had some really good set design. I mean, we had sand out there, some sand castles, surfboards and stuff hanging out
They
there.
They had this camera where they had crab legs on.
Little
Yes,
crab
crab
claws.
cam.
Crab cam.
Great. So obviously the big storyline going into this, the Outsiders. We had Scott Hall showing up on Nitros, kind of invading from the crowd, attacking WCW wrestlers, and then he gets into Bischoff's face and says he's bringing a big guy. And that big guy turned out to be Kevin Nash.
Big sexy.
Oh, Big Daddy Cool, also known as Diesel. Scott Hall, formerly known as Razor Ramon. They are hot off of their WWF run. I mean, these guys were top of the line right there.
I just want to bring up 95 hot WWF run.
That's right. 1995 WWF.
The steroid. Condemned.
But, I mean, Scott Hall had 2 ladder matches with Shawn Michaels under his belt. So, I mean, he Intercontinental Champion. I mean, that guy was doing good shit. Kevin Nash was a world, ex-WWF World Champion at the time. So, I mean, they were a commodity. WWF didn't think so, but Ted Turner threw some money at him, gave him a guaranteed contract, so they came on over. So these guys are invading Nitros Monday nights. Finally, they're there, and they're like, we're here to take over. Hence the card title for the match, the Hostile Takeover match. And WCW are like, okay, we need to get a team of guys to wrestle these guys in a match, essentially for TV time, I guess.
Or company.
company.
They made it feel like it was like a company control.
Like
kind of thing.
yeah. Saying that they would be running the company without actually saying they would be running the company.
Yeah.
But they have this lottery, and Macho Man, Sting, and Lex Luger get pulled from this lottery to become Team WCW. So it's supposed to be a 3-on-3 match, but we've only talked about Hall and Nash. So this whole mystery coming up to this is who is the third man?
Who is the third man?
And I'm going to tell you this right now. It's like the grassy knoll. I mean, literally, it is like they could just blaze it from the speakers every 5 minutes. Just be like, "Who is the third man?" That was the whole show. Like every segment leading up to it. That's all they talked about.
Pretty sure me and Gene said it about 120 times.
Yeah, give or take a few.
Yeah.
Given my experience,
Maybe
I had no
119.
idea.
Actual facts.
And then I felt like a fucking idiot when we got there.
Yeah.
And then we got some smaller matches on the card. There is a...
You mean to tell me this wasn't just like fucking packed, like to the seams, bursting?
Oh no! Yeah,
Talent.
There's some great matches, like the Carson City Silver Dollar match.
We'll get into that.
Oh boy!
And the match following that one was fantastic as well. But I mean, also on the card, we're gonna see Big Bubba, also known as Big Boss Man from WWF, John Tenta, who was known as Earthquake.
Wasn't he the Shockmaster?
He might have made his WCW debut as the Shockmaster.
I think he was. I thought he was the Shockmaster.
He also had a character before he was John Tenta called the Shark.
Yeah.
Time to Google things.
We're also gonna see the American Apple Pie, Jim Hacksaw Duggan.
Ugh.
Ho. Oh. And DDP.
Sorry about your ears.
Sorry.
We're also going to see a great match with the Nasty Boys and Public Enemy. But before we get into the matches, I'm going to give you guys a little heads up. So before this pay-per-view, they had some dark matches. In that dark match, one of them was Hugh Morris.
That's not funny.
That's pretty much his only claim to fame, aside from maybe being fired from WWF for being a bully.
Wasn't he also like Major Guns or that was like they had that like G.I. Joe theme that was super over sexualized later in time?
Yeah, Misfits in Action.
Yeah,
we don't like to talk about that.
Yeah.
There were also taped matches that went on before the pay-per-view. Scott Steiner and Rick Steiner, the Steiner brothers, defeated the WCW Tag Team Champions, Booker T and Stevie Ray, Harlem Heat, by disqualification, so the titles didn't change hands. So nobody missed anything. Though you would just have to turn into WCW main event to see this taped match.
Must have been a hot feud.
I missed Steiner action.
You missed that, Steiner.
We're gonna get into that later.
Mullet Steiner.
Oh, never mind.
Billy Kidman and Bobby Walker defeated the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, and Robert Gibson. Guys from the NWA era.
Holy shit, Tenta was a sumo wrestler. I'm sorry.
Yes, he was. Yeah. No, it's He's got a rich history. He really
Wow.
does. Scott Norton and Ice Train and also wrestled. And we missed Eddie Guerrero versus Lord Steven Regal.
That would have been a good match.
That
Yeah,
would have been a
dude.
great match to have on a pay-per-view. But that one was on WCW Main Event.
Oh,
A taped
see
match.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
So
Oh,
Whoa!
that's all the fun stuff for this pay-per-view, the main stuff that you need to know. So from here, I think I'm going to bring you guys on over to our display case and show you all the great cuts of meat that we have.
There's a lot of beef out here.
and that's where I come in. So here at the display case, I run down the matches and I talk about, and then we just kind of go around the panel, everyone's opinion and that kind of thing, and then we give our ratings at the end. So kicking off the show, we already kind of talked about that little crazy, crappy vignette, which they show later. And then we get into...
Who's the third man?
Yeah, who was the third man?
Who shot Mr. Burns?
Who's the third man?
Who killed JR?
Who? Find out next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. So, we have our commentary team, which I'm going to tell you, commentary, I enjoyed during this event. It wasn't like what I heard. Like you kind of tune out commentary.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
every time.
but I mean, like, there are some great things that Tony Schiavone said, and I think I just have a hard on for Tony Schiavone. I love Tony Schiavone.
Oh,
He was a
we
great
have to
announcer.
get divorced.
No, I mean, like, as a commentator, I love his voice. He just has great play-by-play calling.
I just said I hated his voice while we were watching
She
this.
did. She did. I heard it.
Oh, I love
will
hearing
vouch for
Schiavone.
it.
I enjoyed listening to Dusty.
Yeah, Dusty Rose is
He's
great.
love
great.
Dusty.
Bobby has some
Bobby's
fun
got
zingers.
his heel moments.
Yeah, he's got some good zingers every now and then. But
And
I
then Mike
really
Tenay.
yeah, Mike Tenay. He primarily called the cruiser or talked during the cruiserweight match,
Yeah. Trying to name.
which is our first match actually.
Yeah, trying to name the Spanish Mexican wrestling moves. You know I just love the emphasis he
Making
put
them
on
up.
the Hurnakarana.
Yeah, the thing is like his voice. He has a good voice too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, when he's calling matches, and I was
Iconic.
glad that they chose him. Later down the line when they did Thunder,
Who was calling him Rey Mysterio?
that was today.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you had like I really liked him there, and I've always really just enjoyed Tony Schiavone, and maybe that's just me because I start with WCW actually.
Yeah.
What got me into wrestling was this moment.
It was his mullet.
This was the moment that I started tuning into wrestling every week. Was right after this pay-per-view, and I was hooked.
So I mean, you find out who the third man
The ending
was.
got you,
Yeah,
didn't it?
I didn't even watch
You
this
didn't have to
pay-per-view.
watch this
I
pay-per-view.
didn't. Yeah, thank God. Because now I watched it now and I'm like, fuck.
Like, damn it! I'm glad I didn't waste that.
Jesus.
$39.99 or whatever.
My
it was.
dad would have been pissed. Anyway,
He
so
just watches it
Don't
like
you be
this.
wasting that money
this
on
is
that
what-
wrestling.
This
Yeah.
is what you do?
yeah,
Okay.
my son is I hate him.
I have no son.
I have no son. All right, so then we have. So basically, what we go into is our first match. So we have Bobby, Dusty, and Tony on the commentary team. They kick us off talking about the third man, and then we get right into the first match, which is Psychosis versus Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio Jr.
Rey Mysterio Jr. Did you have any background on this one, Mitch?
Not a whole lot. Right now, WCW is doing a bit of talent share with AAA from Mexico. They actually kind of go into it a little bit when they talk about a following match between Conan and Ric Flair, and talking about him wrestling the night before in Mexico. They don't ever name the promotion, but we can talk about how Conan gives a little shout out to it.
Oh yeah,
So this is where they kind of get the luchadors from. They've seen them there. They're bringing it up. They're trying to bring in that Spanish Mexican demographic to watch wrestling. And I mean, these guys, Rey Mysterio's been wrestling since he's been like 6. I mean, this guy is a legend in wrestling.
yeah, and Rey Mysterio at this time at the recording of this pay-per-view, he was 21 years of age.
Yeah.
He's 44 today.
Yeah.
To put that in perspective. So, and they're calling him a veteran
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
in the ring.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Comparing it to guys today, I mean, most of the wrestlers we see today didn't start wrestling until they've been 17 or 18. AJ Styles talks about it. And you look at Rey Mysterio, and, you know, by 21, he was a ring veteran, which means he had to start, you know, wrestling like 14.
oh yeah, he was really young.
I want to say like his debut in Mexico he was like 14 years old.
Yeah, so the match kicks off and Ray gets a nice little leg takedown that he converts to a half crab right away.
Yeah.
I thought it looked really good. Wrote it down in my notes, and then shortly thereafter we have a nice like crucifix or a snap mirror into a crucifix armbar. And there's a lot of that like kind of crucifix armbar tonight where they have like the legs wrapped around like either the left or the right arm and they're wrenching on the opposite. There's a lot of that. There's a lot more submission wrestling than I remember watching like this match, because I always remember the luchadors always being the flippy guys.
Yep, and that's what most people think of when they hear luchador too, is, oh man, we're going to see a whole bunch of flippy tricks.
But their mat work is fantastic in this match.
They know how to tell a story.
Yeah, they did a really good job, especially Psychosis. I wrote it down in my notes for later, but throughout the match, he works Ray's like neck and head and upper body region a lot, lot in this match. And Ray, obviously being how small he is, Psychosis is probably I would say maybe a good foot above him.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of cool spots. Like the finish was fantastic. So after that, we get a suicide plancha where I don't know I think it was Ray who jumps over the top, lands on Psychosis, and the way he lands, both of their heads kind of go underneath the guardrail.
Like, under it.
Yeah, because like those mats outside, they're the classic blue mats, like those blue mats that you would see
that are like half an inch thick.
Yeah, and they're slippery.
Yep.
You know, and especially when these guys are coming down oiled and wet,
you know, wet and
it's
just
got
out of
to
the shower.
Yeah, it's got to be so difficult.
Oh yeah.
On those guys to kind of stay balanced sometimes on the outside.
And I mean, we talk when we say the guardrail, we don't mean the current WWE guardrail where it's like a wall. This is more like a fence.
Yeah, metal barricade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it a barricade. It's just like literally they look like bike racks next to each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then you get we have a top rope like leg drop. So where Psychosis gets him, and then Ray just sells it super well. Because like he goes up to the top rope and then just boom, just lowers this leg drop, and Ray flops it pretty good.
Yep.
It looks really nice. And then there was Psychosis gets this. He gets Rey Mysterio in the corner. He picks him up after the leg drop. He's kind of beating him up a little bit in the corner. Tosses him to the opposite corner. And as Ray is coming off of the turnbuckle, he just literally split second just turns, and you just see Psychosis right there, clothesline, just decleats him. Oh, by the way, that won't be the first football reference. So he just decleats him, and it just looked great. Ray vaults. There's this vault with his legs, so he like vaults Psychosis, and Psychosis
monkey flip.
Yeah, it was a monkey flip.
Yes, yes. You asked me before, and I couldn't think of it.
Yep. He monkey flips him off the apron, and Psychosis goes flying in his head. He sells it great. The camera work was awesome. Yes. That's one thing I want to say about this pay-per-view, especially. Camera work was phenomenal. It was really good. So he vaults him off of the apron and lands right on the corner of that turnbuckle. And this is not the turnbuckle, but I'm sorry, the ring post.
The post, yeah.
Yeah, and he just flies down, and then as he's getting back up, Ray right off the apron into a hurricanrana on the outside.
Yeah.
A lot of hurricanranas in this match. And then as Ray gets him back in the ring, does another hurricanrana into a pinning predicament. So they call it the Frankensteiner is really what they call it.
Yep.
Gets him into the pinning predicament, and 1-2 kick out by Psychosis. And that was really, really good for the action. Shortly after that, you get a reverse DDT, because, and this is where Psychosis, like I said, he was working the neck a lot, and this was the big kind of payoff move that you thought he was gonna maybe pin Ray with, and he just didn't get him. Then we had a nice backsplash from the top rope to the floor from Ray. And then we had Ray does this fantastic thing. Like they get back into the ring and Ray does this cartwheel. And when he lands right on Psychosis' shoulders in the electric chair position.
Yep.
Into a Hurricanrana. At this point, he goes for the pin, but I think Psychosis rolled out of the ring. Don't quite recall. But then we go to like this off the apron segment to the floor where he rolls into a springboard moonsault. So
that was insane.
And then Ray rolls back in the ring and does what they called, and I wrote this down, twisting acai moonsault.
Yeah.
And Ray lands with his legs like on that guardrail.
Yeah.
It looked very similar. If this is happening after All Out recently, it looked very similar to that Pac spot.
Yep.
As he jumped on Kenny Omega.
Yep.
Very similar. Like that's the problem with these metal barricades. They really need to bring them back, I think, a little bit for the wrestlers to have some more space for the outside.
Yeah. But I think if they do that, they risk because of those pads. Those pads weren't very long. And I think that's why the barricade is so close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I worry when I see spots like that because like
I almost got a broken ankle.
Yeah, broken ankle. The one where with Pac, his shins landed right on the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, that just had I can't imagine. Pain. You know, even with pads, that can't feel good.
Oh, that's gotta be like
that's
walking into a trailer hitch.
Yeah, that's just gotta suck. Anyway, and then Ray goes for, I wrote it down as the West Coast pop. So basically, he jumps off the top rope for her Hurricanrana. But in WWE, they call it the West Coast pop. So he goes to do it, and Psychosis catches him and power bombs him, and goes for the pin 1-2 kick out. And then at this point, Psychosis has control of the match, and he gets Ray to the top rope, and he's going to do the Splash Mountain, and as he which is effectively a razor's edge from the top rope.
Yeah, they call it a crucifix sit out powerbomb.
Yep, and as he's got him up there, Ray slicks away a little bit, does a top rope Hurricanrana, 1-2-3, Ray's your winner. And
it looks so fluid.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of nice, good looking spots in this match. This is probably the match I have the most notes on, for the record, because it was the one that the action had me most engaged.
Yes.
So Emily, did you have any thoughts or takeaways from this match?
I was watching this match and I'm just thinking, man, I love watching Mysterio matches. I love watching Rey Mysterio matches, and then I'm like, shit, I hate talking about them because I don't know the shit names of moves. There's so much going on. And granted, this one was a little slower paced than the Rey Mysterio matches that I'm used to watching, because there was a lot more submission and mat work, which was, nice to catch my breath a little bit. But I enjoyed the shit out of this match, and I didn't know much about Psychosis. His ring gear was awful. I hated it. But
and that mane of his, that mane of his, right?
He looked
those curls.
He looked like a fusion between Danny Avedon from Ninja Sex Party and the guy from Twerp, the one with the cat mask. It was just the weirdest Power Ranger curly mane thing going on. It was so weird.
Mitch, would you say that was more period at that time for the luchador wrestling?
I would think so. I really believe so. That would be how they would catch their breath instead of doing what we would call a rest hold, which is normally like a neck lock or sleeper hold. They actually did a more engaging submission. You saw the crucifix armbar. And then I think a lot of other wrestlers started to pick up on it, which is why we saw it a lot more that night.
Yeah, and there was a lot of head scissors. I noticed this in this one, is particularly on this pay-per-view. I don't mention it that often, but there are a lot of head scissors, and I think there was 3 of them in this match alone.
Yeah, especially from Psychosis.
Yes.
And for them, I mean, it's a good rest move because you got both guys laying down. You can sell it minimally, and you can just kind of sit there, kind of collect your thoughts, get your breath going, and then get back up into it for more aerial maneuvers.
The crowd can still appreciate, some good technical wrestling instead of sitting there watching a guy just hold somebody's head in the crook of their elbow for a minute.
Mitch is exposing the business.
What?
Freaking kayfabe. Oh no.
No, not kayfabe. She's the best of us. So yeah, I mean,
Student of the craft.
yeah, Mitch. Actually, you have a little amateur background. Wrestling, don't you?
I do have a little.
Yeah.
I might have trained with some of the independent wrestlers around here in our area in Wisconsin.
Don't be so modest. I'm sitting at the table with backyard wrestlers. Say it. It's a slur. Say it.
No,
Backyard.
Mitch actually was in the ring.
What?
I
Yeah.
have.
Ah, shit.
I was
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I was there for his first night.
Yeah,
He wore a mask.
I did.
Oh.
I wore a mask. I was a luchador type wrestler.
That got squashed.
I got squashed, which is a wrestling term, which means you just go out, get the snot kicked out of you for a couple minutes. I took a.
You were a jobber?
I jobbed. Yes, I took a jackhammer. Some say that it was a fantastic looking jackhammer because I was vertical for probably a good 30 to 45 seconds.
Ooh.
And the guy that gave it to me actually walked around holding me just one armed. I mean, he didn't even have the other arm holding up my belt or anything.
Jeez.
One armed. So good display of balance. Yeah.
That core strength.
Mitch weighs 150 pounds, so he's the best of us.
I maybe weigh like 165 now. Come on.
Those kids
That little dad bod you got going
got some
on.
dad bod going.
Yeah.
Show those kids at 205 Live how it's done.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh man, I think that was sorry to get off topic, but I think that was the same night where there's this guy who came out, and he's walking around. He's like, I am the god of independent wrestling. And then I shouted from the crowd, and mind you, this is a bar scene,
This
so
is a
like
bar.
everything is flying, like every word in the book
Yep.
is flying at these guys.
Drunk people.
And
It's great.
We have like maybe 6 rows worth of like seats,
Yeah.
maybe.
I would say, yeah, I think maybe 4, but
Yeah. So
6 is generous.
So yeah, and I'm sitting there, and this guy comes out. He's like, "I am the god of independent wrestling," and then I just shout, "Then why aren't you in the main event?" And then like nothing, nothing. He couldn't say a word. Like it was great.
Threw him off his character.
I did. That's my goal. Every time I'm at an indie show, that's my goal. Try to get him to break. Sorry, Kay. So yeah, let's get into our ratings of the match.
Yeah.
By the way,
Oh, hey.
sorry about the derailment. Emily,
It
what'd you rate this match? What'd you give it?
It was Rey Mysterio, little baby boy Rey Mysterio doing some fun stuff. I gasped a couple times. I'm gonna bump it up. I originally had, oh God, your rating system 3.
A medium.
Which is a medium.
I'm gonna bump it up to medium rare.
So you're gonna give it a
Ooh.
4.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 4
A
stars.
medium rare. Very nice.
I had fun watching it, and especially looking back on the rest of the pay-per-view. If I grade on a curve,
Yeah.
which I'm going to be doing a lot, I think. It's not going to be a strict, like, in the history books and in the annals of history, this is a 4-star match. But I'm going to grade it on this pay-per-view. I had a lot of fun watching this one. So, yeah, let's go with medium rare.
Mitch, what'd you give it?
I would say I gave it what you initially did, a medium. But I would say it's a high medium. I don't think it was quite the 4 for me, but I was engaged. I did enjoy the match. If we were to grade on a curve, it would definitely be a medium rare. But for me, it was a medium.
Actually, Miss Mitch. Good old Miss Mitch over
That's
here.
our tag team name.
Yeah, Miss Mitch. Mitch, I would have to say that I agree with you. I gave it 3 stars. I gave it a medium. I believe that this match is a high medium though.
Yes.
And I thought that when I watched it. I really, after watching this match, I really thought there wasn't going to be a whole lot to hold up to it. And then there was one match that got pretty close later in the evening. So yeah, I would also give it that as a rating. So we're going to go right into our next thing. So WCW pay-per-views like to do this thing like between matches where they like to do like an interview with Mean Gene.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got it. I mean, the guy's getting paid. So, I mean, get him on camera.
Yeah, and they use him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Oh, yeah.
And then he goes back and he's interviewing Canyon. Before Thug Canyon. So this was before he started thugging and bugging.
Conan.
Conan, Cannon,
Cannon.
I
Conan.
was like, who are you talking about?
They're all
Conan.
the same people.
Conan.
That you know what? Who better than Canyon?
Who
You know,
better the Canyon?
Who better than Canyon? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
getting my WCW eras
Yeah.
mixed up.
Oh man.
Yeah, so Conan.
Conan.
Yeah, not the funny.
That's okay. Someone on the internet will correct you.
Yeah, that's what we're here.
That's
for.
yeah.
That's
what
not
the comment
not
section's
only
for.
that, but my other co-hosts will too.
Not
So,
me though.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get a shirt that just says "Don't add me" because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. So then we have after that, like it's just your basic like he's wrestling Flair later on in the evening.
Yeah.
It just kind of
going into a little bit and
Yeah.
just kind of get you hyped for the match later.
Yeah. And to be honest, that so we have our next match, which this definitely sets another theme for the night. Almost every I would say there's this like streak of matches on this card, which are all like some sort of weird specialty match.
Gimmick matches.
And we have all gimmick matches like for the next like 3 or 4 matches. So strap yourselves in, guys.
Yes.
You're in for a ride of your life.
This is the one that gets a little sexy.
Yep. We have Big Bubba with Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart
versus John Tenta. And John Tenta does not come down with any music.
No, that's because he just got rid of his shark. He was the shark gimmick. And when I'm saying that, I mean that was his character. He had this face paint on that came from his ears down to the corners of his mouth. They had teeth like a great white shark. I believe it said shark on his leotard. It was not a good character.
They could have called him the Great White. Like,
Yeah.
come on, guys.
A missed opportunity.
Seriously.
And this is a Carson City Silver Dollar match.
A what?
A Carson City Silver Dollar match. I had asked Mitch like 3 times when we were watching.
Yeah. Nobody knows.
I
Nobody
watched
knows.
it and I still don't really understand it.
So
but
basically, they have this hilariously high pole strapped to the ring post.
It was like 10 feet higher than the top rope.
yeah. And can I just throw that out there that it was the exact circumference of a stripper pole?
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say right now. Right now.
They could have raided a local business. It was Florida.
So I can't wait to really get into the play-by-play on this one.
Oh, yes.
Well, they had this ridiculously high pole. And Paul, what was on that pole?
A sock full of quarters.
Silver dollars.
Silver dollars.
Yes.
So
Better than quarters.
So
They
basically,
hurt more.
what winds up happening is literally
What
for
did
the
that sock full of silver dollars look like on that pole?
a sock stuffed with silver dollars, Emily.
Wrong. It looked like a penis.
It
Okay.
looked like there was a big dildo in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It did.
Now we can continue.
Why don't we just have dildo bat on a full
I mean,
match next?
They should have.
Yeah. So Saints Row 3, baby. So represent. So we got so basically this match I'm going to sum up as best as I can, which is punch, punch, pull off corner turnbuckle, punch, 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 pull off corner turnbuckle, throw guy out of ring, go back onto the corner turnbuckle, throw guy off corner turnbuckle, knock him on the corner turnbuckle, make his nuts hurt, throw him back off the corner turnbuckle, punch, punch, punch. That's your whole match. But there were a couple other spots in between that I'll pepper in just for you.
We got to throw that
morsel
seasoning.
of this.
Yeah, just a little seasoning. We have Bubba pokes him in the eye. Just literally just does a little eye poke. It was the only thing that was different from the strike formula.
Yeah.
And then we have John takes out legs and Bubba hurts his little buddy is what I wrote in my notes. And like cuz he's like kind of dangling there for a while. And then at one point like they're trying to incorporate weapons, but I think they're still trying to stay very like PG here.
Yeah.
So you get Bubba choking out with the belt.
A leather belt that I'm not sure if he took off of his own pants or if Jimmy Hart gave him. I did miss that part because he was talking to Jimmy right before it ended up in his hands. And the referee is just like, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, nah, come on, guys. Can we? Well, whatever.
Shame.
So yeah, I mean, like, with the other thing is too is like, with Jimmy Hart, he comes out another time during this. I think Big Bubba was heel.
Yes.
And then later in the night, it felt that Jimmy Hart comes out with faces. So, like,
weirdly enough, yeah.
So it's this weird, like,
or at least one face.
Yeah, it was just this weird, like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah,
okay, but
weird feeling in the room.
Yeah. So then we have Bubba choking out with belt, then whips him with the belts.
Maybe can I pause it?
Sure.
Maybe Jimmy Hart heel is it's heel when he's wearing a jacket with his own face on the back of it, and he's a face when he's promoting the guy that he's with, and he's got his face on the back of it.
Maybe
he's being generous.
Very well could be.
You got his endorsement. You're not as good as me, but I like you.
Or he just looked at what was it, Big Boy, whatever,
Big
Bubba, and he's like, I'm not gonna paint your mug on the back of my jacket. I have to wear this.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
I don't want to be asked weird questions in the alley. So then Big Bubba, it's such a weird name. So he pulls out like
but
some
they're still
rap,
trying to hit on the Big Boss Man name. Is what they're doing.
Yeah, he pulls out some rap tape and then wraps John Tenta's arm to the middle rope, and then he starts whipping him again with the belt
for a good long time. And the ref is just like, eh.
But like Bobby Heenan pointed out, he only taped up one hand.
Yeah,
it comes into play.
Yeah,
and that'll be his undoing.
Yep, because Bobby Heenan knows best.
Foreshadowing.
So, basically John's there, and then Jimmy Hart, I think, gets up on the apron for some reason, which doesn't make any sense.
To distract the ref.
A lot of that. Yeah.
And then
because I'm pretty sure this match had like no rules.
Yeah, that ref was just like, "What? I don't care."
Yeah, and then John like delivers a low blow.
Yep.
To Big Bubba, Little Bubba, as I put it,
with his free arm.
While he's like, because Big Bubba grabs like a pair of scissors because he's apparently leading up to this match. There's like a hair cutting thing, and his hair was weird.
We didn't even talk about that.
I thought Emma was gonna the apprentice would touch on that.
Yeah, well,
because that was just her distraction through the whole thing.
I had to watch this guy come down to the ramp for this match with a bright blue leotard and half of his mullet, like literally split down the middle, Two-Face style, shaved head mullet, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy's thing?
It completely threw her off her game.
Yeah,
I hated it. And then he takes out the clippers because he's gonna cut off the rest of it.
Yeah, something like that.
But then
make me symmetrical.
He then kicks the Little Bubba. He drops the scissors. He cuts himself free and then does a spine buster. Everybody!
Whoa. A wrestling move.
Whoa! What a spine buster! And then Jimmy Hart gets. Jimmy Hart at this point, Big Bubba had convinced Jimmy Hart to climb up the post
up to a 20-foot pole.
Yeah, to get the
sock on it.
He gets the sock of quarters and comes down, and then John Tenta's there instead of Big Bubba.
Mm-hmm.
Grabs the sock full of quarters, and kind of pushes Hart off, but Hart doesn't like fall off. He doesn't want to take the bump, so he just kind of just continues to kind of slime down the side of the apron.
No. He hangs on to it and he swings around it like a stripper.
Yeah. And
I have to get my enjoyment out of this match somehow, I guess.
And he just kind of crumples to the floor.
Yeah.
And then at this point, Tenta does like this crossbody slam. That's how he gained the advantage. That's what I wrote it down as. And then he just grabs the sock full of silver dollars.
And Carson City silver dollars.
And he just clocks him in the face.
Clocks Big Bubba.
It just clocks him. And like, that looked like it hurt.
I'm not going to lie. That had to have left a bruise.
So, and then John Tenta gets the pin 1, 2, 3. And then that's the winner of your match, folks. So, Emily, did you have any other takeaways?
Yes. Okay, first things first. Yes, getting back to that was probably the only thing that I got to enjoy, and that is like the whole time being teased that somebody's gonna climb this very suggestive pole. And at least it was Jimmy Hart. I guess he's gonna be my eye candy for this match if I have to. And the other takeaway from this is after he clocks him with the sack of nickels, whatever, he stands over him and upturns it and just money shots him with the quarters, silver dollars, whatever, just right in his face in the most disrespectful manner, and then just places two on his eye. But it was just like, of course, Mitch had to go, and there's the money shot. I would just lose my shit.
Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing too. Like, he then put the quarters over his eyes, like he was sending him off, like to death or something.
Yeah.
Like, here's your ride on the river Styx. Here's your payment.
But yeah, no, that was literally just unloading right in his face. That was so gross. So, do you want me to just kind of go over my feelings about this match in number fashion?
Yeah, what'd you get? What'd you give it?
What'd you give it?
1. That is
well done.
Oh, well
yeah, it's a well done.
done.
That's a very sarcastic well done. Who was this match for? I gotta know. It was
the filler crowd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had to get his revenge for Big Bubba cutting his hair.
Yeah.
So, he's got to hit him with a sack of silver dollars, apparently.
Everything about that match was just so weirdly, just symbolic.
And Mitch, what'd you give it?
Yeah, I gave it a well done. One thing I want to touch on is we kept saying that they got Jimmy Hart to climb the pole. It's probably because these guys were both overweight.
Yeah, he was the only one who could.
Yeah, at one point they're trying to clip the pole down.
Yeah,
with the scissors.
I mean, this is a 10-foot pole higher, 10 feet higher than the top rope. These guys are 6'5". And weighing like 350 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are not getting up that pole.
Good on him, though. Jimmy fucking...
I mean, he climbed it like a champ.
Yep.
He climbed it. His climbing, I give a rare. This match is a well done.
I'm curious. I wonder if that was called at that point. Because maybe they didn't know like it was going to be that high.
Yeah.
So
it very well could have been.
That could have been like...
And they were having a hard time cutting through the
those were fastened straps.
Yeah,
like those are the ones that you use when you're carrying furniture, like in the back of a pickup truck or
and
something.
The scissors that he was using, it looked like a doctor's pair of scissors that you would use to cut off gauze.
Yeah,
like it was those weird angled ones.
Yep.
And he was just struggling getting one down. So I could see that.
Yeah, that could be possible. I gave it a well done.
Yep.
It was.
This is the go take a pee.
Yep.
If you're lucky, maybe you got to poop, so it takes longer. So you missed the whole match.
Get your popcorn.
Get your popcorn ready for the rest of this pay-per-view, everybody. Here's Big Bubba.
Set your
Big
DVRs.
It's going to be hot action tonight.
There was a lot of beef in that ring.
Oh, yeah, there was. So speaking of that, we go to a segment out of the ring at this point.
Yeah.
With Mean Gene, and he's interviewing the Macho Man Randy Savage, the Stinger, and Lex Luger.
The Flex Luger.
And they all have Sting masks on.
Yes.
Like face paint.
They all got this little face paint on to show that they're all in the same boat. They're all on Team WCW. Camaraderie.
What a cohesive unit.
Yes.
I just have to say, no one cuts a promo like Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, but they're the best.
Yeah, I mean, just the way he talks and his intensity, like, it's just something else. Like, it's just something out of this world. And gosh, he was just great.
I love how he gets so just like worked up about it. He doesn't even face the camera. He's talking to Mean Gene because he needs him to know he means business.
I just have to say, like, right I wrote down in my notes is just testosterone.
Oh, that's the reason they call him the Macho Man.
So then we get our next match of the night, which, oh boy, is one of Paul's one of
Paulie
the
V, what are your favorite guys?
one of my favorite guys, Diamond Dallas Page.
Whew.
I love DDP.
D.
I do.
P.
It's me, it's DDP. And to be honest with you, Mitch, Emily mentioned that we backyard wrestled.
Yes.
I figured out something that I could use that was very DDP-esque,
Oh, you
but
did.
that was my own. So yeah, like a little hand signal thing.
did.
I loved DDP that much.
I am also a DDP fan. When we were starting our backyard wrestling, I actually wanted to use the diamond cutter. But when you first start out backyard wrestling as teenagers and not knowing what you're doing, a lot of people were afraid to take what's called a front bump
Yeah.
and didn't want to land on their stomach and chest because
Babies.
looking at the ground coming towards your face apparently is scary.
Yeah. We had some good matches.
Close your eyes.
Oh, we had some good matches.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Mitch and I had this match where I gave him a drop toe hold on an open face steel chair, and it looked great.
Fantastic.
But anyway, so we have DDP against Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh, USA.
Yeah, that's like his whole
USA.
gimmick.
Yeah.
But there's another caveat to this match. This is for DDP's ring.
Lord of
Lord
the
of
Ring.
the Rings?
Ring.
The Lord
Oh,
of the Ring. In a taped fist match.
Taped fist. That's right.
That means it's a lot stronger than not taped fists, I guess.
Is that
Apparently.
what it was? I still
supposedly.
didn't understand it.
Yeah. And it's funny because a couple of matches from now, actually, I think even the next match, all the wrestlers have their fists taped, but this was a special stipulation that.
Like, it had a title card and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they made a big deal about it.
But they didn't tell me any rules.
No.
So I'm just like, okay,
Um,
great.
In my eyes, it was like a normal wrestling match because, I mean, you still pinned the guy.
Yeah.
But he took his tape off. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. So anyway, we got the match. It kind of starts off, and DDP does this nice Hacksaw Jim Duggan's just punch. A lot of WCW is you can just assume that the beginning of the match is the guys just punching each other.
Lots of strikes.
And then finally, when we get into some wrestling moves, if you want to call it that, we have an eye rake.
Yep.
That goes into a stun gun. So a stun gun, he just it's like a back body drop, but he just hangs him up on the top rope. Yeah. So,
Yep.
And then
right across the neck.
Yep. So at that point, then Hacksaw gets knocked down. DDP rolls out of the ring, pulls his legs to the corner through the underneath the corner turnbuckle.
Yep.
And then wraps his legs around with some tape.
Some tape that he pulled out of his trunks. Apparently, the tape that he used to tape up his fist for this taped fist match, and tapes his ankles together while Hacksaw's around this pole.
Yeah. Scissors makes a second appearance.
Yes.
And DD as the ref rolls out of the ring to untape Hacksaw's feet, DDP then uses the scissors and cuts off the tape on Hacksaw's hands.
Yep.
So, because tape fist match.
Tape fist match.
So, at this point, then we have Hacksaw get some momentum, and he does this little seesaw middle rope punch spot, which was kind of cool.
That was kind of cool.
So where DDP's sitting on the middle rope, and he pushes his feet down, and as DDP comes up, he kind of clocks him in the face, and then he goes down, does the same thing, does it 3 times, and It was a really cool little spot.
Yeah, it's a nice way to break up standard punching.
Yeah.
That Hacksaw has a very limited arsenal.
Yeah. And with that being said, he does a nice little over an apron over the top rope suplex, and when he does that, DDP just does a great oversell where he kind of just flops it a second time, which looks pretty good. DDP goes to the top rope, and then Duggan hits the rope, and he lands right on his jewels. That's another reoccurring theme of the night. A lot of guys getting their balls hit. It is that moment in Idiocracy. Ouch, my balls! So he's got him on the corner, and he's sitting on the corner, and then Hacksaw just kind of flips him down into like this kind of like he just kind of lands face first
Yeah.
on the mat. Which it looked okay.
Yeah. For Hacksaw, it was a good spot.
Yeah. And then at that point, he clotheslines him out of the ring. When DDP gets back into the ring, like because they brawl outside for a little bit, he gets back into the ring and he and Hacksaw's coming in and DDP kicks the middle rope as he's in between it, which my balls. And when that happens, like Hacksaw's kind of just laying there. DDP kind of drapes him over the middle rope, kind of similar to what Randy Orton does these days, and then does a diamond cutter.
Yep.
Which is like the RKO.
Yep.
Fun fact.
Out of nowhere.
And then gets the pin count 1, 2, 3.
He wins the tape fist match.
Yes, and he gets to retain his Lord of the Ring.
Yeah, that he won at Battle Bowl.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
But
I
Hacksaw
remember seeing that ring.
Hacksaw does not take kindly to this,
No.
and then proceeds to beat him up after the bell for the crowd pop.
Yep.
Effectively.
USA.
Yep. So, Emily, what were your takeaways on this match?
I hate Hacksaw Jim Duggins. This is my first exposure to him, and I absolutely hate him.
USA.
God. Yeah. Yeah, blech, blech. And then it just cemented it when you told me that he's really good friends with my other favorite person in the world, Hulk Hogan.
He is. He's a Hogan friend. Fun note is when Hogan jumped ship to WCW, he brought a lot of his friends, like John Tenta, Big Bubba, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh man, the A+ talent.
Yeah, all those.
What
all
a
those
headhunter.
guys are all Hogan entourage, if you will.
Wow. Huh.
Wow.
Wow. But I got to see more, and this has been like second exposure to DDP, and he is quickly also becoming my favorite wrestler just because learning about him like just IRL, he's just a really great person.
Oh,
So I get to soak in just him overselling and looking great in this match.
Yeah, and
DDP yoga's freaking amazing.
I need to start. I've been like considering actually doing DDP yoga because it's supposed to be very helpful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, maybe I could actually get onto some sort of regimen that might work for me.
I do have to say the other thing about DDP is like later on in his WCW career, you can see why he was pushed because he's very good in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Like
he is.
He's very good. I mean, he does enough new stuff mixed with old stuff that makes him relevant.
Yeah. And I mean, fun thing here too is he started his wrestling career really late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he got in to be a wrestler
It's not like
in like his
30s.
30s, yeah. Like mid 30s. Before that, he was a manager. I mean, he always had charisma.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually just started wrestling like mid 30s.
Yeah, he definitely is a very like just inspiring type of figure. Like it's never too late just to do what you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that. So I'm always just happy to see, to get to see little bits of him here and there, because I think the first time I got to see him was that really, really great feud with him and American Badass Undertaker, where he was stalking
Sarah.
Stalking Sarah.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Stalker DDP.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's great.
Yeah.
So it was,
they dropped the ball.
So yeah, that's my takeaway.
What did you give it?
I gave it a well done. It was Hacksaw Jim Duggins just hamming it up in the middle of the ring, raising his arms and just wooing at the crowd. Oh.
That was like, to be honest with you, like at this time, like when I did start watching WCW, he was like the main event on every single WCW Saturday night. Every single one. He was the television champ, and he was like the main event every time.
Wouldn't doubt it.
Him and William Regal, they owned Saturday night.
They did. Lord Steven Regal.
Yeah. What did you give the match, Mitch?
I like DDP. I gave it a medium well.
You gave it a medium well, yeah?
Medium well. Give it 2. I bumped it up because it's DDP.
It's me. It's medium well DDP.
I mean, this is a DDP heel character. He comes out smoking his big old cigar.
Oh my God.
Wearing his sunglasses.
He taped up the camera. That was
He
cool.
taped up the camera to get it out of his face. It was, I enjoyed that DDP character.
His hair looked fantastic for this match too.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, just the blondest curls.
And I also gave it a well done. I thought I gave it a 2. Absolutely, like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you're limited in your range.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's a big lumbering
stuck
guy.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
Sorry, DDP. You're always rare in my heart.
So yeah. I mean, I also wasn't like a super big fan of that match either. So we go into another Mean Gene segment at this point.
What? They cut to another Mean Gene interview?
What? Yeah. So we have Mean Gene, and he's interviewing the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, and the Giant.
The Giant.
Oh yeah.
And this is where, like, this makes me believe this is why Hart was technically heel.
Yep.
Because Jimmy Hart's back there, and Mean Gene tells Jimmy Hart to go brush his teeth at one point.
Yeah.
And he almost smacks him.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Hams it up.
Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, he was the leader of the Dungeon of Doom, which was supposed to be a heel faction. But when we get to the match later, we'll tell you why it seemed kind of
Face-ish.
Yeah.
You could definitely tell that the fans were looking forward to the one. They were definitely looking forward to the Giant.
Yes. Yeah. The world's tallest man, as they kept calling him.
Yeah. Which, AKA, by the way, guys, is the Big Show.
Big Show. When
That
he's
camera
fit.
work did make him look freaking huge. I mean, he is huge.
Yeah.
But him standing next to Mean Gene and Jimmy Hart, and they're all the same height, and they're just tiny next to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes
really
it look like
highlighted
Jimmy Hart and Mean Gene and Kevin Sullivan are only like 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
Like they're coming up to like the Giant's waist.
And he was the world champion at the time.
Yes, WCW World Heavyweight Champion.
Oh, and further note, this is Big Show with a wild mane of hair. So check that out.
Yeah, it was kind of nice.
It's worth it.
And then we get another interview segment, but not with Mean Gene, with Lee Marshall.
Lee Marshall.
I know nothing about this man. Mitch.
Just some random interview guy that they would cut to. A guy that was left from the early 90s, late 80s. If his mustache didn't tell you that, maybe his big safety-looking glasses.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a lot of this show was left over from the late 80s.
Yeah. He's in there interviewing Arn Anderson, the Enforcer, and the Crippler, Chris Benoit.
And they just, talk about their match later and how they're going to win.
Because they're 4 horsemen.
Yeah, 4 horsemen.
Remember, 4 horsemen.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, too, because, of how this pay-per-view, what it means to wrestling lure now.
Yeah.
But seeing it where it's kind of still got, that hokey 80s touch.
Yep.
But then it propels itself into something else afterwards that just, it's crazy.
It's insane.
It's crazy. It's like literally, it's not baby steps. It's like thrown across the canyon, landing on the other side. Anyway, so then you have the next match of the night, which, by God, it's another one of those gimmick matches, which I use the word fun loosely. We have the Public Enemy versus the Nasty Boys.
Nasty Boys.
Nasty, nasty, nasty boys. And this is a dog collar match, tornado tag.
Yes.
So basically, the best way to describe it is it's a hardcore match where these men have chains connected to them for no good reason. They could have just made it a hardcore match.
It's for the BDSMers to get to see wrestlers with dog collars on their necks.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Can't wait. Get my gimp mask ready, baby, because here I come. And so I have some great notes on this match. Once again, you can just Control-Alt-Delete and then Control-C and Control-V in this one.
Yep.
because basically you can just control V, punch, punch, kick, punch.
Yep.
A lot of that. But in this time, they added chain whip.
Oh.
You wouldn't have guessed it
No.
with a dog collar
No,
match. Or
dog
anything.
collar match. They're
Hey,
connected
those
by a
chains
10-foot
weigh
chain.
25 pounds.
Oh yeah, yeah, and yeah, they're just whipping them around. They look like aluminum. They're so shiny.
They were not recently bought at all.
Yeah, not at all. They had those things just lying around in the back. Ted Turner's like, I got those in the plane.
Billionaire Ted.
Billionaire Ted. And then you get, so basically I wrote down there's a lot of chain shots and then trash cans.
Trash can.
There's a lot of trash can shots. So I have a list of things that was used as weapons in this match.
Ooh, fun.
So I hope you guys are ready. We have a lifesaver. We have chairs.
Ooh.
We have tables.
Oh my.
We have a surfboard.
A surfboard at Bash at the Beach.
Wow.
Oh.
What? So festive.
We have a guy being tipped off of a lifeguard stand.
Yeah.
First he jumps off of it.
Jumps off and then gets tipped off. Oh, and let's not forget, at one point, I believe it was Brian Knobs beating one of the dudes with Public Enemy with an inflatable shark.
Also,
Yes.
don't oversell that lifeguard stand because it was literally shorter than the wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah, it was lit.
It was
Yeah.
like a little
It
like
was.
model
Yeah.
one. No.
Yeah. So,
I was waiting for Godzilla to come out and destroy it.
yeah. Big,
Oh, no.
big old John Tenna's back. The shark. So then you have so yeah, it's just basically the things that I wanted to mention here were basically this is just your standard affair hardcore match. Like literally. They start in the ring for like maybe 2 minutes and then they just brawl on the outside and on the front face wrestling.
Yep.
Like for almost the whole match.
Yep. Make their way down the entrance ramp.
There is a suplex onto the table spot, like on the outside. And the table like gives away like almost immediately.
Yep.
And Rocco, I believe, was the Public Enemy guy.
Yep.
He gets on the guardrail and jumps off and lands on it, and then it just crumples. Like
It's-
so, like everything you watch in a hardcore match, like all of these swings look super padded.
Yes.
Like everything's going really, really slow. Nothing looks bad. Like
No.
it doesn't look violent. It just looks like.
Well, especially since everything on the beach was practically a toy.
Yeah.
Inflatable shark for the win.
So, and this is where because there's a tag team match, a tornado tag, we have 2 cameras for a majority of this
Yeah.
match.
Ugh.
So you have 2 cameras showing you the action. It's very disconjointing. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I agree.
Okay.
I liked the split screen, but I think the way that they portrayed it was dumb because they didn't use the whole screen. They put it in these little boxes.
Yeah.
And then
That took up like half of it.
Yeah, and it showed like they were aimed at you like a V.
Yeah. So
I
it was
guess
like
would
you
be
were
the best
watching
way
like virtual reality. or
Yeah.
something.
It was like if you push 2 tube TVs together at an angle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the way that they came
Get
about it
immersed
was
in the
dumb.
action.
What was on the backdrop? I didn't even notice. Was it just the graphics
It
for
was
like the
just
bash
like,
at the
yeah,
beach?
yeah, it was just like the Bash at the Beach graphic.
So it looked like you were watching it on to a YouTube video where they like shrink it down
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they don't get caught.
Yeah, or like a picture in picture.
Yeah.
Like,
So eventually, like there's the big spot on the outside of the ring,
Yep.
which I missed because of the 2 screens. But the big spot was pile driver onto the concrete.
yes.
Like one of the Nasty Boys is a pile driver to one of the Public Enemy guys. It was hard to pay attention at that time. So that happens. And then we have this table. They bring another table into the ring.
This is the best part of the match.
And
It
there's a spot where one of the Nasty Boys has one of the Public Enemy guys has one of the Nasty Boys on the table.
Yep.
And he's like face down.
Yep.
So you know immediately he's laying there face down on the table. Like any Wrestling 101, if you've ever watched wrestling, hardcore spots, anything, if you're face down on the table, that means you ain't taking a spot.
What? You mean they'll move?
Yeah. So basically, he climbs up to the top rope, and the Nasty Boy, I think it was It wasn't Knobs. It was the other one.
Sags.
Sags. It was Sags.
Yep.
And he uses the chain, pulls the Public Enemy guy off.
Yeah, which I think was Rocco.
I think it was Rocco too. And Rocco like just kind of does a senton onto the table, and the table doesn't break. It just bounces off of it and flies off.
It freaking bowed and like launched him off.
Yeah,
It
was
great.
It was pretty funny.
Bounced him off like a cartoon.
So then at this point, Sags gets him up back onto the table, and then to get this table to break, this must have had something to do with the big finish. And Sags wraps the chain around his elbow.
Yeah. That's gonna hurt more.
But it was his forearm.
Yo.
And does an elbow drop from the second turnbuckle, not the top turnbuckle, but the second one.
No, second turnbuckle hurts more.
Yeah, obviously, so much closer to the ground.
Yeah.
The table doesn't break again.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so that was great.
Super
I think
table.
the commentators are
Oh yeah, and like it was
Oh,
Dusty
are-
and
yeah,
Brian.
they're like throwing stings about that right away. They're like,
Well, they're old biddies at that point, you know, where hardcore wrestling is trash to them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Dusty's not a fan of it.
no,
But if you're gonna juice, you gotta juice the right way.
yeah. So at this point, then they have this spot where one of the Nasty Boys kind of hands off one of the Public Enemy guys over the top rope, and then he's using the friction from the neck on the chain as kind of like a clothesline, and the other Nasty Boy throws the Public Enemy guy into it. The chain snaps.
Yep, chain broke.
When the chain broke, then he Sags wraps it around his hand, punches him one last time, and then goes for the pin. 1, 2, 3. Nasty Boys are your winners. So, Emily, your takeaway on this wonderful match.
I wish you could see my face. I hated this match, and I love the Nasty Boys. I think it was garbage. I think it was trash. It was distracting the way that they pictured the entirety of the frickin' match, because I guess what a tornado tag team means is no rules, just right.
Yeah.
It bothered me too, where like they had so many gimmick matches, and I feel like it just stuck out to me after this many of them. This is one where it is very obvious throughout the whole match. You've got this big, clunky looking, like, just hollow aluminum chains draped across two necks, which already makes me nervous. And then they're barely even utilizing the gimmick. All they were doing was brawling outside of the ring with other tools, other toys. And it was just like, so this match could have been completely the same thing, unchanged, if it weren't a dog collar match, and that's not what you want to do. They really only utilized it on the last spot where they clotheslined him with the chain.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, I can beat someone with an inflatable shark without a dog collar on?
I know, it's baby steps.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
This was literally.
Better get the pool noodles.
Yeah, it was just like after two of these really weird gimmick matches, I had to ask, like, why are they airing out so many just weird kinks on this? Let's just lay them all bare.
I felt like they were just trying to fill time for.
I almost felt like that.
Yeah.
Like, we bought this for pay-per-views. We have to go this many hours.
We used them up in the budget.
So what was your star rating?
I gave it a 0. No. I'm gonna go with a well
Still
done.
mooing.
Yeah. Well, Mitch, how did you give this one?
The table that didn't break gets a rare. I mean, that was the star of the match.
I am the table.
That table is going places. I'm pretty sure it went to WWE and injured Triple H. Just saying. But the match was well done. That was burnt to a crisp. That is.
I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did miss a spot where one of the guys picked up a table and used it as a suplex on top of the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was the table that later when they put the guy on it broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe when he suplexed it, he broke it a little. I have no idea.
I think as a rule, if you try to do a table spot with the same table twice and it doesn't break, you have to let the table pin you.
Yes. That needs to be a rule. We have to get with the National Wrestling Alliance. We have to get that in
you
the
just
books.
have to make that call right in the ring and just like get that table and you just like lay it on top of you and just 1, 2, 3.
Yep, he's champion now.
He's champion.
That's it.
All right, and then
Paulie V, what are you giving it?
I put this match in like that. It was so bad it was fun to watch category.
Don't you dare! That is for special matches, and we're gonna get to that. I'm supposed to have the unpopular opinions.
I didn't like the match, but I also didn't hate the match. But I didn't think it was really like that quality. So
that match wasn't half bad. It wasn't half good either.
But I mean, I gave it a well done. I gave it a 2 stars.
Okay.
I don't know. I was hoping someone would get thrown into the sandcastle, to be honest, the whole time, because they had this really nice sandcastle that I was hoping
they
would
did.
just get
It
destroyed.
was beautiful looking.
But I mean, other than that, like, I don't know. I just kind of, I don't know. I've always kind of like, I've enjoyed brawling, but it was really slow at times, and that bothered me a lot.
I think one of the cameras should have just been through the crab cam.
Oh, that'd
been great.
That'd been great. Just like through the dune, and that's how you watch that whole part. The one guy.
It'd been cool if it like snapped at them too.
They did like the get off my sand.
So
that'd been good.
Yeah. So yeah, I considered it was so bad it was okay category. But yeah, not like anything. I think after the one time I watched it was probably enough times.
You don't want to revisit that one?
I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't put it on a greatest hits or anything. And actually after this, we didn't have a Mean Gene segment. We went right to another match right away.
Right into it.
And we get.
I mean, with people like this, we don't need an introduction.
We get Disco Inferno.
Straight from the 70s.
Yeah, versus Dean Malenko in a cruiserweight title match.
That's right.
And this match was just something else to behold. If you've never watched a Dean Malenko match, like, you're in for a treat. Like, I definitely would say you're really in for a treat if you've never seen Dean Malenko wrestle. This is a really good match to kind of just see his range.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because they call him the man of 1,000 holds, I think.
Yes,
but I would say I would say he's probably more of a man of 1,000 moves because he has a lot. He has a lot that he does in this match and
innovation. You don't see the same move twice.
Yeah, and he's very crisp.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everything is crisp. Like, I didn't respect, like, when I was watching it, I was more watching it for story when I was younger, and I didn't really respect Dean Malenko as much. But watching it now, I really respect his work.
Oh yeah.
It was really good. So, but
there's a trainer. There's a reason he was a trainer at WWE.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
he's with AEW.
I will say, the opening part of this match is literally Dean whooping fucking Disco Inferno's ass. Like, that's how it starts. He's just punching, kicking, beating him, just grinding him down with like submission moves. And like, he does this great brain buster.
Oh yeah.
Like, he gets him up and just does this great brain buster. And literally Disco tries to get offense, but just Malenko just no soul sells it. Like, he's just some jobber. Like, he's just like, fuck you, man. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And
I am not losing to that 70s guy.
Yeah, and he has this great I wrote this down, waistlock suplex, where he's got him around the waist and then he just does a suplex. You could call it a belly to back if you wanted, but it was a nice waistlock. And then it went into a spinning leg bar.
Yep.
That he kind of put on the ground. It was really, really nice, crisp, good looking. And at this point, he is just working the shit out of the Neon Disco Inferno.
Oh my god!
Has this great snap mirror into like a small like shoot drop kick.
Yep.
And
right in the back of Disco's head.
And does this modified STF, I'll call it, where he wraps up the back leg.
Yep.
And then instead of going on the right side, he overcrosses.
Yeah.
To the left side. So like he has the right part of his leg over over the left leg, and then he's wrenching with his left side towards the right. It is really nice looking.
A lot better than John Cena.
Yes. And then Disco does get a little offense in. Once he starts getting some offense, Dean does this, like, he's kind of in the corner. He's like sitting there and he like pulls his belt. And when he pulls him, like, Dean leans forward. And I don't know if this was accidental, but leans forward and it looks like he just headbutts him in the dick. Just boom, headbutt to the dick, baby. And then there's a nice little snap mirror middle rope leg drop that he snap mirrors him. He runs off the ropes, jumps off the second rope, and then does a leg drop.
Yeah.
Which is really nice looking.
Yeah. That was cool.
And then, but Disco does get some momentum back, does a nice neck breaker, and then into a swinging neck breaker. And the story here is Disco wants to dance after his moves.
Yep.
But he's realizing that he's in a title match and he can't like do that. And that's telling the story in the match that he wants to show off, but he's like, oh my God, I'm losing my opportunity to win.
Yep. I want to be champion. I want to dance, but I want to be champion too.
Yeah. So then we have a nice springboard drop kick by Dean Malenko. And then he goes for the Texas Cloverleaf. And it's kind of like the sharpshooter, but with your arms instead of your legs.
Yeah.
It's the best way to describe it. And he goes for the Texas Cloverleaf, and Disco rolls him up for a 1-2 and then a kick out.
Yeah.
So
small package.
But then Dean, he gets the upper hand once again, gets him into a double underhook situation, kind of does this double underhook release butterfly powerbomb, I would call it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he lands, his feet are still in the air. Malenko seamlessly grabs them, puts him in the Texas Cloverleaf, makes him submit.
Turns him over, and Disco quits.
And I would have to say that this was one of the better matches of the night for sure. I mean, watching, and usually like you see like matches like this and you see like the smaller guy usually being the one that's not in control. Mm-hmm. This was a very odd take on that.
Yes.
That you see from today's product, especially because you have Dean Malenko in control, who's the shorter man, the smaller man, and he's in control of this whole match. I would say 85-90%.
Oh, yeah.
And it's different. It's different seeing that. Like, he's just this no nonsense, I'm coming down the ring and I'll beat your fucking ass.
Well, they call him the Iceman for a reason.
Yeah. Emily, what were your thoughts on this match?
I enjoyed watching this one, and actually, reflecting back on it too. It's just I had a lot of fun watching this match more than I, maybe even realized. They didn't give me any setup, but I did enjoy the story that I got to impose on it. It was very much Disco came out first. I had to look at both of you guys and go, "What year is this pay-per-view?" But he
was staying alive.
Yeah, he looks like a young kid. He looks like he's just got the cockiest punchable face you've ever seen. I don't know if he was supposed to be the face on this match, but I didn't read it that way. And then you've got Dean Malenko. Yeah. And and he's very hateable. He's really good at this. I don't know if that's what he's going for, but and Dean Malenko just marching down to the ring. And it just looks like the stern father, and this is his waste of a space kid who just wants to, go off and fool around. And throughout this whole match, it just looked like just smacking this kid down like, no, this is how we do things in my house.
But Dad, I just want to dance.
Yeah, Dad, I just want to dance. You can't stifle this creativity, Dad.
You're not my real dad, Dad.
I don't know. It was very fun to watch. It was very different than anything I'd seen. And this is my first exposure to Dean Malenko. It's a name I've heard, but I didn't really know, what his deal was before I saw it, and I walked away from this match in love. I liked it a lot. It was very fun to watch.
What did you grade it?
I'm gonna bump it up to a medium rare.
You liked it that much?
I liked it that much. I want to see more Dean Malenko, for sure.
Yeah. I'm excited, to be honest with you, since we don't have to worry about WWE's name redacted, we can actually talk about Chris Benoit. So I'm excited about watching some of those matches
Yeah.
with him and Dean Malenko from WCW.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you got to look forward to.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
I am excited now.
So Mitchell.
Yeah.
Oh, and quick note, Dean Malenko, he's the Don McClane of wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know, he's just got that old dad look. I'm on board.
He would walk across glass barefoot.
Yeah.
He could get it.
So, I too, medium rare. I love Dean Malenko. His matches are some of my favorites to watch. I mean, that mat wrestling technical transitions are just phenomenal. And like we said, that underhook butterfly seamlessly grabs his legs, locks into cloverleaf. It was like it was all one maneuver. It was insane.
Mhm.
The Iceman, man of 1,000 holds. One of my favorites.
Yeah, I will say so far on this pay-per-view, 2 people only they made me gasp with their wrestling, and that was Rey Mysterio and Dean Malenko.
Yeah.
And Scott Hall made me gasp for other reasons.
So I gave this match, I gave it a medium. I gave it 3 stars. And I wrote in my notes specifically, not because of Dean. And the reason for this is I felt that it was a great way to show how strong putting your champion over
Oh, yeah.
was great. I felt that the Disco Inferno just didn't work that well with Dean. Because it really felt that he couldn't keep up with him.
Yeah.
That was my takeaway. And I mean, that's why I think Dean had so much work, in front of him and that's why he was set up to be so powerful in this match. And I loved what I saw. I loved his work. And if that's what they were shooting for, they nailed it.
Yep.
But I think that Disco takes away from the match from that 4th star just because he was trying to tell his story, and I do appreciate that. But I just didn't think he was at no point, even when the bell rang, did I think he was a credible opponent to Malenko. And that's not knowing any story going into this, just going off of memory, but watching it now, I was like, Malenko's winning this match. You could have just called it because he's your cruiserweight champion. He's not fooling around in the ring. He's stern dad, as you would say. It was just
business.
I liked the match. I did like the match. I didn't love the match. It wasn't I thought it was okay, because I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was great.
Yep.
So, and I didn't think it was special. So, moving right on to our next match. Our next match. We'll get through this one pretty quick, I think, guys.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We have this guy named Joe Gomez. I have a guess, Joe Gomez ?
Yeah.
That's his name. Yeah. Yeah.
Versus Steve Mongo McMichael with Deborah. And Ditka the dog.
Ditka the poodle.
Because if there's one thing WCW is going to remind you, it's that this guy was playing football. And don't you forget it.
He played for the Bears.
Yeah. The Brett Favre references, the retirement references, the Ditka references, the 3-point stance, everything. Mm-hmm. The field goal kick when he just fucking kicks the dude in the side.
But he wound up for it.
Oh my God.
Like a kicker.
Yeah. Just.
So what position did he hold? Yeah. Was he a kicker? Was he a QB? What? Well, he's all over the place.
Yeah.
He played it all.
No wonder he's not playing football anymore.
He was the last 60-minute man. So here you go. This match, to me, to sum it up, is a lot of striking again.
Yes.
You can control V here.
Yep.
Just control that V, boom,
strike.
paste it right in.
Chop, chop, chop.
But I have something in my notes because I figured I'd go off during this match a little bit.
Uh-oh. Here's for Paul's hot takes.
So we have Gomez who does a crossbody, which, you know, pretty safe move.
Yep.
One of the first, like, kind of wrestling maneuvers you would see in this match. And then this is where I have strikes cover up Mongo's in-ring experience. And then we have the field goal kick, which is just a boot to the side into like this sleeper that Mongo puts on. So Joe can get his momentum back, and he does just the jawbreaker where he just lands on his ass. So he can finally start getting momentum. Mongo does this reverse neck breaker, and then more strikes later, and then we get a sloppy back body drop and a sloppy sunset flip.
Oh, that sunset flip was horrible.
And then we have Mongo do a tombstone
Yep.
pile driver, and 1, 2, 3 wins. That's the whole match. Like,
Yeah.
And this is the exact reason why wrestling was never taken seriously. This match. This match is a blueprint of that. Wrestling that was made fun of by real athletes. When people would say, wrestling isn't real, this is fake. These are those people that if they saw this match, they could pull it out and be like, see, you can look, you can see, this isn't real. They're not even doing anything really. Like, why do you like this?
Yep.
This is that fodder kind of match. That's how bad this match was. That's how bad Mongo McMichael was in the ring. And you know what? I don't even remember if he got any better. But he doesn't need to. This was garbage. This was hot garbage, and it pissed me off. I'm sorry. It really did, because I like watching wrestling. This was garbage. This was like watching a fire on top of a fire. I wanted to just kind of throw myself into it, because that's how bad this match was.
It's not a good match.
Ready for my notes?
Yes, Emily, what you have?
Oh, here it is. Nice hair. That was for Gomez.
Oh, yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. I'm searching through my catalog brain of wrestling, and I can't tell you why this match happened. I don't even remember who Joe Gomez is or was, besides a professional wrestler, apparently.
Yeah. I bet he has like a great like cooking show now.
It's got a public access.
Yeah. And I bet you he's still like juiced up.
Yeah.
Looks really solid, and he oils himself up.
Yeah.
Like, and he just cooks in front of
and
then like the ladies swan over him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to tell you, like, this, rating everybody. Emily, what'd you rate it?
Well, Joe Gomez didn't even pop up as the wrestler first, so I had to actually type wrestler. So yeah, oh, he's retired. Shocked.
After his illustrious career,
1 star. That is well done.
Well,
It's a piece of gristle.
well done. And it, like I said, it's wrestling matches like this that would make people say that this is why wrestling's fake.
Oh, it's the blueprint for inexperienced matches. Yeah. Aside from maybe the tombstone, I don't know why they decided to pull that out. That's fairly dangerous. I'm not even 100% how long Mongo's been in the ring, or his experience at this point, but I wouldn't have trusted him with the tombstone.
No, and the other thing is when you're putting this on your pay-per-view card.
Yeah.
Like, if I paid,
not an opening match.
Yeah, if this is your mid-card match. Like, there was no noise in the crowd.
No.
You could fucking hear a pin drop in that crowd. And I'm not usually one that like is like, oh, the crowd really took away or added to this match. I'm not usually that type, because I like to watch the wrestling.
Yep.
Well, and the commentators too had nothing to talk about, so they were talking about the Packers
and football. And it's just like, I mean, I understand you're trying to sell the brand, and you're trying to be like, well, see, this is where the big boys play.
Yep.
But
we got NFL stars.
We got X85 guys, from the Bears, but I don't care. I care about wrestling. Not that this guy used to be a football player.
Mm.
That's what I don't. If I want to watch football, I watch football. When I want to watch wrestling, I want to watch wrestling.
Yep.
Like a few years back, you had Gronk come out and help out Mojo Rawley. Knowing that some of these athletes have a professional background like that, and then have transitioned into wrestling, like a Baron Corbin, which I'm going to say it now, guys. Baron Corbin's not a bad wrestler.
Nope.
I'm going to probably get fried, but he's not.
No.
He's not a bad wrestler. Because he is that. He can wrestle.
Yep.
Mongo McMichael cannot wrestle. He is a guy who was put in the ring way too early, not ready, and they just wanted name recognition.
Yes.
And that does not do Mongo any service. And that doesn't bring eyes to your product in the way you want. Because if you're just going to watch this guy in the ring, you're going to be like, well, that's what I fully expect of an ex-NFL player.
Yep. Yeah, especially a guy that was crazy. He had to be a linebacker. I want to say he was a linebacker.
I think he was a lineman, actually. I think he was defensive lineman.
Maybe, defensive lineman. That makes. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's got nothing. There we go. This is funny. There we go. Pull him up here. Career history of Steve Mongo McMichaels. Played for the Patriots, 1980. Chicago Bears, 81 to 1993. But wait, what's this? He ended his career a Green Bay Packer.
That's weird.
Yeah, but they don't talk about that at all. Just bear. He's a bear. And look at this.
Yeah, and they were in Florida, so it's not like there was a reason for them to concentrate on that either.
Yeah. They were just concentrating on it for the brand. They wanted to draw eyes to him because they were hoping to convert that NFL crowd to watch wrestling.
So he started out as a color commentator, 1995, after an appearance at ringside during the Lawrence Taylor match in 1995 in WWF at the time. So WWF brings in Lawrence Taylor. WCW's like, well, we're going to bring in our own NFL guy, and we're going to sign him to a contract, and he'll learn how to wrestle.
That's what it was. And that's leading up to this point that we get to at the end of this pay-per-view. It was always like it felt like WCW was chasing. Yes. And this is the first time they pull away. And they pull away with something that I thought was very clever storytelling. I thought it was very well done. But we have a couple other matches to get to before we get to that point. So, moving into our next match, I think we had Mean Gene, and he interviews Ric Flair, and I'm sure Emily would love to talk about this segment.
Whoa.
With Liz and Woman. Yes, Woman.
Woman.
We're not trying to be misogynistic or sexist or whatever. That was her name. Like,
Woman.
We're not just saying that it was a random person. No, that was her character's name, Miss Elizabeth and Woman.
Okay, so these are the things that make it hard for me to get excited about looking back into the annals of history of wrestling. It's no secret, we all know this is going to be the hardest thing for new fans to look back at old product and go, yikes. Okay. Things like Woman, whose only job was to hang off of Mean Gene and make him very awkward because he was getting so fucking rock hard turned on.
So flustered.
Granted, Mean Gene, I saw this act the last, we've kind of looked back at a couple other ones, and it was not as effectively acted as this time. He had his stammer on just right, dropping the mic out just a little bit, and, giving those kind of sideways glances like, whoa. But Woman.
I will say this, Mean Gene played his part very well.
He played it well. I've seen it done worse, so I could at least appreciate that.
Yeah.
But
it's like Grandpa getting flirted with.
Yeah. But yeah, like even just like getting onto after the match, camera pulls out here, and it's just, I don't know, the weirdest shot of a 50-year-old Ric Flair, chest hanging out in a pink bowed half open robe, and flanked by flanked by Miss Elizabeth, and then Jean with woman hanging off of him, and I'm just like, I don't need to see where the rest of this porno is going. No. No.
So we get Conan defending his United States title against the one and only Ric Flair with Woman and Liz is our next match. And it starts off, and well, I just want to get this out of the way. Conan. I'm going to call him Conan. I know.
Yeah.
I just.
But it's not a late night talk show host.
Yeah,
Why
Conan.
didn't they just call her boobs?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still stuck on this woman thing.
Woman. So
Just call her female.
yeah, lady parts. From parts unknown, lady parts.
Hey, come on now. Parts unknown is here in Wisconsin. Don't be making fun.
Yeah. So we have Conan versus Ric Flair, and Conan comes out to the ring, and he's sporting a emblem on his jacket that's AAA.
The AAA logo
Yeah, the AAA logo
on his jacket.
on his jacket.
Oh, talent share.
Yeah. So yeah, and the match opens up, and I think this was not kayfabe. Very early in the match, like the bell rings, and Flair shakes Conan's hand. He shakes his hand, and I think it was just a sign of showsmanship. I think this is Flair. He's done this a lot with a lot of guys.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I think this is like, he's obviously the heel here, but like it was really a nice gesture.
Yeah. I mean, Flair's been around the block once or twice. I mean, this is 1996, so he was probably like 52 years old. You know,
Yeah.
Probably wrestling for 40 years.
Yeah, and you
Jeez.
you actually pointed out at this point Flair had a knot on his back.
Yes. Yes. Well, very early in his career, Ric Flair was in a plane crash.
Really?
Yes. He survived a plane crash. And he had to change his wrestling style to what we see today. It's actually where he incorporated all the chops. And he decided to take bumps a different way. A lot of big bumps. If he takes it from any place up high, you'll see that he will fall more on his shoulder, generally his left shoulder, I do believe, instead of on the flat of his back, which is what you're taught to do. But he can't do that because it would cause him too much pain.
Mm-hmm.
And his back got really messed up from this plane crash. So,
Crazy.
Yeah.
To think that he survives a plane crash and continued to wrestle
Yeah.
Continued, yeah.
for years.
For
Years.
Long time.
years.
Yeah. So then we have like Conan. At one point, they're kind of going back and forth with their strikes, and they're doing like this weird little test of strength thing, and Flair's teasing him a little bit, and Conan slaps him, and Flair just does his regular flop
Yep.
as a sell, and something about Ric Flair. I mean, his selling ability is always one to
Top
watch.
notch.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun to watch.
I'll give him that.
Conan does this nice press slam and then into a second one. And then it does an outside clothesline. Flair does a nice, coming out after that, Flair gets a good thumb to the eye. And when he has the thumb to the eye, this plays a big part. Both of the women, each one was on a different side of the ring
Yes.
during this match. And one woman would come up, not woman,
Yeah.
but one of them.
See, this is so confusing. Give her a name.
So, like, for instance, Liz would come up on the apron, and there's a spot where woman gets in the ring, and Conan's standing there, and Flair's kind of, woozy or whatever, and she literally just takes Conan to Dick Kick City. just whoa-blammy. Dick Kick City, baby. And, Dick Kick City. Flair, then after this point, does this nice stall suplex.
Yes.
Wow, to Conan. He's got him up in the air for a good, 10, 15 seconds. Great stall suplex. And I think this is something I really want to bring up to just joggle Emily's memory here. Woman screaming.
Oh,
Yes.
God. I know.
Just. Yeah.
Honestly, that was probably the reason why I'm not going to rate this that great, because it was distracting.
Very.
And not in a good way.
Rick,
It was
get
just
up.
bad. And I feel bad for her because I'm like, oh my God, her vocal cords must have been killing her after this.
I mean, the fact that you could hear her through over the crowd, like,
Yeah.
it was just
Yeah.
insane. Like, holy cow.
It was just banshee screech too.
Yeah. At one point, like, Flair pleads with Conan, Conan or whatever. The thug guy. That's not a thug guy. He looks like Prince Iaukea.
You know,
Um,
Conan O'Brien. Just
yeah.
think Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien. Pleading with the great white Conan O'Brien. Doesn't, and Conan just doesn't give a shit. Literally just does not give it a shit. He's on the knees, he's giving him the hands, and just fucking clocks him. Just wham.
I'm not buying into that.
And at this point, Flair goes for the figure 4, but Conan's small package 1-2 kick out.
Yep.
So then Conan puts the figure 4 on Flair.
He's using his own signature maneuver,
Yeah.
but that take 2 specials.
Yeah. That's 2 specials, baby. And he's got it locked
Is that a
in on
nerd
him.
thing?
That's
That's a video game.
yeah, it's
Oh,
a video
okay.
game thing. Yeah. So yeah, he's got him in the figure 4, and Flair gets the rope break. But shortly after the rope break, Conan gets him right into a bulldog position, like almost immediate.
Yep.
After the top rope throw. So effectively gets the rope break. Flair's coming up the top rope. He throws him off. The classic Flair gets thrown off the top rope flop.
Flair never hits anything on the top.
And
rope.
as he's getting up, Conan gets a bulldog on him right away.
Yeah.
But when he's trying to go for the pin, Liz distracts. A woman comes up onto the apron and hits Conan with the heel of her shoe.
Yes. Took off her shoe, hit him with, as Bobby Heenan put it,
Man.
that spike.
She was holding that fucking shoe behind her back for minutes.
Yeah, it felt forever.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then Flair gets the pin and is he pins not only after the spike shot, we'll call it.
Mhm.
Flair puts his feet on the top rope for leverage.
Yeah,
He had to make sure he's going to stay down.
Yeah, I mean,
that was cool.
yeah, like that was neat.
He is the dirtiest player in the game.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Flair's your new U.S. title champion. So, Emily, takeaways from the match.
Well, there was a lot of screaming. Honestly, I thought that match, it was interesting. I really haven't seen a whole lot of anything from Ric Flair yet. So we'll get into that, I guess. It was interesting to kind of have a little bit of a, dip my toe in the water a little bit. He is entertaining to watch. He's a really great actor when it comes to, in-ring work. Lots of good flopping around, lots of good taunting and stuff like that. So I was having fun watching that, but this match felt like it dragged at spots. And there were a lot of I felt like clumsy things where they were trying to set up with his two, women in the ring, just like doing distracting things or getting cheap shots on Conan. And like that one where she takes her shoe off and like they are brawling in the middle for quite a while. And it seems like nobody really knows what's going to trigger that part where she's going to swing at him with the heel of her, heel of her shoe.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt kind of awkward.
Yeah, it was a little disconjointed.
Yeah, there was like something was off on the planning.
Yeah.
So it just, at the end of the day, I just kind of walked away with a for that match. So I gave it a well.
Mitch? Mad Dog.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Ric Flair. Respect him a lot. His matches are very old school, though. And that is exactly what we see here. Conan tries to bring a little new stuff to it, but, I mean, Flair's an old body. There's only so much he can do.
Yeah.
But I don't take that in consideration. I didn't really enjoy it that much, especially that and it just felt like there was a miscommunication about when the finish was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it really took me out of it because she got up on the apron, she got off the apron, she gets back up on the apron, she gets off the apron. It's like, well, when the fuck are you gonna hit him with the damn shoe?
Yeah.
I know it's coming. Do it. So
Woman! Wait, no, not yes.
Woman!
You!
woman. Wait, yes, that woman. No, the name woman.
Just hit him, woman!
Yeah, I gave it a medium well.
Oh, you gave it a 3.
No,
Oh, I'm 2.
2.
I'm sorry.
2.
I heard medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew.
Woo!
No, medium well. I enjoyed Conan. I mean, he got his little roll lariat in there, that rolling clothesline, which was pretty cool. Was sad I didn't see a tequila sunrise, which is a finisher that he uses later on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool to see him do the figure 4 to Ric Flair.
Well done. 2 stars. I'm sorry, just well. I just went with well. 2 stars. I thought that the match was, it wasn't anything spectacular.
Yeah.
It was a guy who had two managers, took advantage of having 2 managers, cheated to win the belt, your standard heel
Heel
fare.
stuff. Yeah.
And it was old classic wrestling stuff, and I could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I also compared it up to the other one, well done's that I gave, and I'm like, I didn't hate this as much as I hated the, Carson City Silver Dollar match. So
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, I think if I had to choose between this match and the Nasty Boys match, I'd probably just choose the Nasty Boys match, just because of the inflatable shark spot.
The inflatable shark. It
But,
does so much damage.
I mean, just wrecks them. So that's kind of like where I'm at. I mean, I felt that the talent level, like, it was young talent versus new talent.
Yeah.
And I like that in wrestling when the older talent puts over the newer talent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of that because I feel like it's a passing of the torch kind of thing. And you don't see that here. And obviously, I'm sure there's a reason for that. They probably feuded. And
the reason is that Ric Flair was still going to wrestle for another 20 years.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's just, but I mean, at this point too, like, I really felt that Conan could have really benefited from a win against someone the caliber of Ric Flair. Especially with kind of where you're going to end the night. I felt this would have been your best segment to kind of send the crowd home happy.
You mean they weren't happy?
So at this point, we go into a backstage segment where Mean Gene is eavesdropping on the outsider's door. And he's like, oh, I can hear a voice, but I can't recognize it, but it sounds so familiar.
It's in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
It rings in his subconscious.
Yes. He's something. I know it, but I can't place it.
And
I can't see him.
I can't see him.
And then Bobby the Brain and Tony Schiavone are like, "What? You mean you heard it before?" Yes. But I can't place it.
Yeah. For the third man, and then we get into your second to last match of the evening.
Yep.
Which is our Chris Benoit and Arn Anderson versus Kevin Sullivan and the Giants.
Yep.
And if Benoit and Anderson win this match, the Four Horsemen get a shot at the Giants' WCW title at Nitro tomorrow.
Yes.
So there is something at stake in this match.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
They didn't really hype it up.
Yeah, they did a great job. So, and basically it starts off with with Sullivan and the Giant coming down to the ring, and they immediately get jumped by the Horsemen, where Arn Anderson and Benoit get out there right away, and the Giant starts lumbering back, and all of a sudden there's Steve Mongo McMichael.
Wait, he makes another appearance in this pay-per-view?
Oh, thank God, our savior is here. And they start brawling into the back. And
yes.
so Anderson and Benoit just drag Sullivan to the ring, effectively beating him up, get him in the ring, and then the bell rings.
Yeah, the referee starts the match without all the participants.
Yeah, and then you see the Giant, he's coming down to the ring with Jimmy Hart right away.
Yep.
Because
he was angry. Because
the bell rang. And Benoit gets Benoit chops. It should just be its own product. Benoit chops.
Yeah.
They're just so crisp, clean.
I mean, that's something that we can have in our display case.
Yeah, Benoit chops.
Benoit chops.
Benoit chops. They're just delicious.
Fucking tastic.
Delicious. And then they're working over Sullivan. Like that's this whole match.
Yeah.
They're working him over. They're cutting the ring in half. Standard
Quick
heel.
tags.
Yeah, quick tags. At one point, Sullivan does get his way worked over to the kind of not his corner, but his side of the ring.
Yep.
And I think it was Anderson who was in the ring, and the Giant just levies him with a great clothesline on the apron, and Sullivan, who's just visibly winded.
Yep.
This isn't like he's beat up selling it winded.
No.
He is visibly winded,
He was blown up.
and he like falls down into a pin, and it looked really good. And then Benoit had to interfere and stop the count, but the spot looked really good. I was really happy with it. After this, we have like this slingshot into the corner. So Arn Anderson, they're holding control again, and Arn Anderson has him, and he's going to do the slingshot. The classic. I got his legs. I slingshot him into the corner post.
All that momentum.
With all that momentum.
Fucking hate this slingshot.
And this is where you can tell that Sullivan is very, very winded. Because you have Benoit on the top rope, and he's like setting up because it looks like they're going to do this big maneuver, and he slingshots him into the corner. And it's supposed to be Sullivan hits the corner and Benoit falls.
And then,
But Sullivan doesn't really hit the corner. He kind of just flops over, and then all of a sudden Benoit just kind of falls down.
Yeah.
And then like he quickly gets back up to make it look like he hit it, but he didn't. It just looked bad all around.
Yeah.
And then eventually Sullivan does get the hot tag to the Giant. And when this happens, that's when the crowd erupts.
The crowd goes nuts.
The crowd goes nuts for the Giant. And the Giant does a suplex. Great suplex. And at this point, Benoit is fighting Sullivan outside of the ring. Like just kicking the crap out of Sullivan up the ramp by the dressing.
By the color commentators.
Yeah. And he's just beating the crap out of him at this point. And Giant does a giant suplex on Arn, then gets the choke slam, gets the pin 1, 2, 3, walks into the back.
Just leaves. It's a Giant.
All of a sudden you see Sullivan and he's kind of lumbering around, and Benoit comes out of nowhere, just clocks him, gets him back to the ring where Anderson is, and then Benoit gets him up on the corner turnbuckle and does a belly to back suplex from it.
Yep.
And like woman comes down to the ring for some reason, and she's like, because I think she's with Kevin Sullivan at this time. Is that correct?
Yeah. Woman and Kevin Sullivan were actually married. What's fun about this is in the near future, Woman decides to leave Sullivan and marries Chris Benoit. And then there's a tragic ending to that story. But it's one of those kind of funny things. I'm not quite sure. This is around that time where WCW starts to break the fourth wall. Mm-hmm. So I'm not 100% if it is one of those she's coming out to protect Sullivan because it's her husband, mm-hmm. or she's out there to be like, hey, Chris, you're being a rabid Wolverine. You got to stop.
Yeah.
Because she was really not even like trying to get herself in between to kind of protect him. She was really pleading with Benoit.
Yeah.
So it was kind of felt like more of the connection was between her and Benoit at this moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Benoit stops and goes to the back room, and then the Giant comes back out because that's when he starts to go back to the back room. So 2 times in this match, the Giant has left and came back to the ring. Big Show doesn't do that anymore. For the record, guys and girls,
he can't.
So yeah,
he'd be tired.
That's definitely that. So, then, we don't have an interview, coming down to the ring. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the rating. Goodness.
You hated it that much.
Yeah, I just wanted to go right over it. Emily, what'd you give the match? What'd you think? Anything?
Oh, I hated it that much too. I gave it a well done. I had to be honest with myself that this was the worst Benoit match I've ever seen. I was bored.
Yeah.
Very bored.
Yep.
And spoilers, I'm not the biggest fan of Big Show anyways. I'm sorry, the Giant. But
it was nice seeing him young.
He could move at this point.
Yeah, he was more athletic, I thought.
And the hair looked great. I did like that. But it was a very boring match.
Mitch, what'd you give it?
I also gave it a well done. I mean, Arn Anderson, again, he is coming from the Ric Flair era. One of the original Four Horsemen. Four. And it's one of those. He's the older guy. He's going to do rest holds. Kevin Sullivan's an older guy. They're doing rest holds. So Chris Benoit doesn't get to shine, and that's what really brought down this match.
I gave it a well, just because I enjoyed the tag team psychology here. I always do like that old school tag psychology, where they cut the ring off and they do that kind of thing. I really thought the spot with the Giant on the apron was pretty cool. And then I did like that the Giant did get the crowd to pop, and it was an odd, like, weird face turn feel.
Yeah.
Because everyone wanted to see him, like, he was a big thing.
Yep.
So
he is big.
Yeah. but like, wrestling wise, he was. It seemed very. Yeah, I just like that. As far as, like, what was going on, Sullivan being visibly winded in this match, really took away a lot from it. And as you said, no Benoit.
Yeah, and the fact that I had to watch them completely botch one of my least favorite moves anyways, that slingshot to the corner, was embarrassing.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a bad botch.
Yeah.
So, moving right on. We have our next and final part of the show, where we have a video package for the Outsiders, the same one that played into the intro.
Yep. Who's the third man?
And then we have as it comes down, as it gets away from the video package, Michael Buffer is in the ring, and he is announcing the match.
And he is cock teasing the hell out of that crowd.
And what were they calling this match, Mitch? The
hostile takeover.
The hostile takeover.
This was history in the making.
Yeah, and it was a hostile takeover, and Michael Buffer's selling it for that paycheck. I'll tell you that. And
ladies and gentlemen,
yeah,
but
he sloughed that crowd real good.
But man,
are you ready?
Let's get ready to rumble! And it's great. It was just great. And then we have the Hall and Nash coming down to not NWO music,
no,
which was weird as fuck.
Yeah, because they weren't the NWO yet.
Yeah, they were just the Outsiders.
The Outsiders.
But holy shit, that was weird as fuck. And it was Hall, Nash, and question marks.
Who's the third man?
What time does it go to? It says question mark. Versus Sting, Lex Luger, and the Macho Man, Randy Savage. So, to get us started into this match,
we're gonna take a detour over to Emily's window shopping.
Sure.
Okay.
So Emily's window shopping segment.
All right, here's my time where I get to be an old lech. I have my exposure to Scott Hall has literally just been like seeing pictures of him, but. So this first of all, this took me by surprise with the ending anyways. So yeah, shut up. Don't at me. I'm not stupid. We're going to talk about Scott Hall and how fucking hot he is. Just a proper stud. Agreed?
Well, one of his first characters when he came in was the Diamond Stud.
Oh.
Yeah, he was
managed by DDP.
Huh.
It all comes full circle.
Oh my
I'm telling
God.
you guys.
Hey,
But
yo.
Oh,
There you go. That's what I got for you.
oh my God.
Hey, yo.
Just the perfect specimen of a man. I'm sorry, I'm gonna play my hand here. He is just the perfect amount of just pillowy beef. The right amount of chest hair, the dimples, just that cocky little smile, and just that Superman curl right in the middle of his greasy hair. Oh my God. Oh,
Yeah, he was.
It's so much machismo.
what
Yeah.
a man.
Yeah. So
Man.
we have at this point,
Oh yeah, and then Nash was there. Whatever.
and then we had Sting and Luger and Macho.
Oh, Nash didn't tear a quad, so
Yeah,
that's
good. One of the 4 times it never happened to him. So then we have Lex. We get Lex Luger out. So the match starts and it's a brawl right away, and obviously the WCW guys have control.
Well, they got the
because
numbers.
Yeah, they got the numbers.
Yeah, these
3
guys
on
are...
2, because who's the third man? No third man came out.
Yeah.
And literally 30 seconds into the match, like Hall or Nash, I don't even remember which one it was, knocks Luger through the middle rope.
Yep.
And then he gets back up, and then it was Nash in the corner.
Yep.
And he's kind of like holding
Holding
Luger
him
there.
down.
And Sting does a
Stinger
Stinger splash and hits them both and takes out Luger. Luger has to get taken out on a stretcher.
Yeah, stretchered out.
Stretchered out.
Yep, he's done.
And
Ugh.
at this point,
All
so
those muscles couldn't protect his head.
no, not at all. So at this point, we have Nash, who does this elbow drop to Macho Man.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was obviously one of those elbow drops that Macho Man was supposed to sit up from, but
Ooh.
Nash is kind of a
Big boy.
big boy,
guy.
Big clumsy boy.
and
Yeah.
and Macho
close
is
to 7
sitting
feet.
up, and like he kind of crunches.
It's like he sits up right into his back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, or into his armpit.
Yeah.
Is kind of how I
Yeah.
felt it went. He like sit up and like he's coming down with the elbow and he like lands right in his armpit, and like Macho immediately takes out. So
Yep,
like
pulls
you're,
out and he's like,
yeah.
nope, nope, nope.
yeah, and you kind of think that you thought that maybe something bad could have happened, but nothing did. After this point, I just wrote down a lot of strikes, so you
Yeah.
can just Control V here. Basically, that's the whole thing. Where the big boys play.
That's right.
Hall does this great fall away slam,
Always.
and then
One of his
He,
signatures.
he hits he then Irish whips Tag, Irish whip Sting off the rope into Nash's big boot. Nash has
Yeah.
a good looking big boot.
Yes.
There's one thing that he does look good. It's the big boot. Looks really great. Nash does this flying knee drop. I'm sorry. That was Nash. And then there's this knee drop kick to Nash.
Yep.
And which basically Sting eventually then, is trying to make his comeback, but the heels are still working him over. Classic ring psychology, telling the story. But one thing that tells the story in this match, and this is why I like Scott Hall, is his taunting ability.
Ah,
Yes.
that too.
What he does in the ring to like taunt his opponents, you just want to punch him. Like
Yeah.
he does such a good job at
Punch him in his
being-
handsome face.
Yeah, he does such a good job being a heel, and it's entertaining to watch that. And like you love to hate the man.
Yeah. Scott Hall oozes charisma.
He's that bad boy that you want to fix.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Denim vest.
Yeah.
Ah,
And then
perfect stubble.
Tight jeans.
Ah.
and then hey yo. So then Hall his taunting was just great. It helps tell the story.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then you have like they get Sting in the corner and they're applying illegal leverage between the two of them
The abdominal stretch.
on the abdominal
Oh,
stretch. And then at this point there's a nice clothesline by Hall to Sting.
I think they were also doing a really good job at they were turning it on and off with oh nope, we weren't doing anything. They were
with the
really
ref,
well
yeah,
timed
yeah.
Yeah.
with the ref, and it was interesting.
Yeah, it was once again, we're the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't do shit.
Yep. And
We're gonna cheat.
Who, us?
eventually, Macho is just on the apron, and
He's going crazy.
He's just going crazy.
He's that little dog that you walk past that yard and he's just like right up in that bed.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part was like he got in the ring and like looked at the ref. It was like, hey, they're cheating over there. And the referee's like, no, Mach, you got to get out of the ring.
Yeah. And so eventually Sting gets the tag, and
Hot take.
Tony Schiavone says this. I wrote it word for word. Randy Savage is in there, and he's nuts. And that really just cements like how it was. It was a great call. And Macho Man, I just want to, with all of the axe handles, just
Double axe handle.
does a double axe handle off the top rope to the outside, does another one on the inside, just doing tons of axe handles.
Yeah.
And honestly, I pointed this out to Emily when we were watching. It's like watching Velveteen Dream.
Yep.
You know, you can tell how much of Velveteen Dream's offense is mimicked after the Macho Man.
Even like the winding up the crowd body language ripped straight from him.
Yep.
It just it's right there.
Yep.
Don't fix what ain't broke.
Yeah.
Exactly. and Velveteen Dream does a great job.
Oh yeah.
And then you have Macho Man, and he's starting to gain like momentum, and then all of a sudden the crowd just starts cheering.
Crowd
Pops hard, and it's
people are standing on their feet.
Hulk Hogan is coming out to the ring.
Wait, Hulk Hogan, Mr. Red and Yellow.
Yeah. Da, 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 da.
Eat your vitamins, say your prayers.
Yeah. Our hero has come to save us.
Oh man, I can't wait for him to get rid of these outsiders.
And he comes into the ring, and all of a sudden does his patented leg drop on the Macho Man.
Wait, what?
Yes. Shock, surprise, startled. We have the Hogan turns heel, does the leg drop on Macho Man, and at this point does it again after 2 rope runs.
Oh man. Got all that momentum.
Yeah, got all of that extra momentum. And the Macho Man gets rolled out of the ring. We go into a no contest.
Yep.
So, and I think if we're going to just rate the match, this is where we should rate the match, but I think we should add the rest of it and then rate it as a whole.
Oh, okay. I rated them both separate, but
I think that would be a good way to do that.
The moment after.
Yeah. Because I consider it part of the match because the match never technically ended.
Okay, well, good. I got that down.
But we have like at this point, like Mean Gene's coming out to the ring, and he's gonna be interviewing.
He's livid,
and yeah, he's mad.
He don't need no cops this time.
And you see like the fans are throwing trash, garbage into the ring.
By the time it's over, that the ring is coated with garbage.
Yeah, just coated in litter.
Popcorn, drink cups, and just all kinds of
my
wadded up paper.
and
Yeah.
I mean, well, you just took the biggest face in all of wrestling history and turned him into a bad guy. And so there's just so much trash being thrown into the ring, and Hogan starts cutting this promo on the fans and how he was entitled to all this stuff because he came from the north and he made this guy on his back this wrestling company, and he's projecting this like super self persona, the birth of Hollywood, if you will.
Yes.
Like,
well, that's why he went to WCW, because he was promised movie deals.
Yeah, and big money deals by Big Ted.
Billionaire Ted.
Yep.
Billionaire Ted. And like, he just cuts this promo on the fans and how like he was being a good guy for so long and now he's just done with it, and saying that, you know, when he came over, the fans weren't as receptive as they should have been. And to be fair, he's right when he did cut that part of the promo, because they weren't that receptive.
Yep.
Because Hulkamania was dying.
Yes.
And at this point, you could see that this had Bischoff's fingerprints all over it.
Oh,
Turning your biggest face heel
yes.
and doing this it's what started the spark that caused the Monday Night Wars. This was the moment for WCW. And if it wasn't for this moment, you might not have wrestling where it was or is today. And that's how important this moment is to wrestling.
From the time that Hall made his debut on Nitro, their ratings never dropped. And they were beating WWE or WWF at the time every night for a long time.
It was 83 weeks.
A long time.
Because I know that because that's the name of Bischoff's podcast.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was great. It was hell of a moment. Hell of a moment at the time. Still a great moment today to kind of look back on. Emily, your thoughts besides Scott Hall?
Oh shit. Well, if I were rating the match, I would have given it a medium. No, not medium. No, I would give it a well. The moment after, I would probably bump it up to a medium. This is coming from, I'm peripherally aware of the New World Order. I had no idea this was the moment where it was cemented because I'm thick.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It kind of doesn't have the same punch for me. I did enjoy seeing Hulk Hogan get trash thrown at him. So I don't know. It might not hold up as well for like new people kind of entering into this kind of thing. But I can kind of see how this was going to be a big thing for, well, again, too, like, I'm not familiar with, like, the WCW between the WWF, like, that sort of politics. I feel like I have a little more things to learn about going forward with that.
Okay.
So, yeah, match itself was alright. A little lengthy and a little still brawly type of kind of stuff like that, but it was really fun to see Randy Savage, just kind of pump people up and just be energetic, and he knew exactly what he was there to do, and he did it perfectly, stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll settle with a medium.
And Mitch, what did you give this match?
All right, so the match gave a medium well. I enjoyed the macho spot. I enjoy the outsiders.
You mean just a well, not a medium?
Or well, yeah. Sorry. Oh well, I enjoy the outsiders and they're cheating. We're the bad guys. We're here to take over. The promo. This was, to put it in a more modern term, this was the pipe bomb of '96. This was Hogan coming out and exposing the fans on "you turned your back on me" and going off in that whole tangent, and you're the reason that I'm doing this. Don't boo me. You should be booing yourself. And it was revolutionary at the time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I would say, I didn't watch this at the time, but I started watching shortly after. I had a friend that all of a sudden was like, "Hey, you watch WWF?" Like, yeah. It's like, "Have you ever seen WCW?" I was like, "Oh, I remember like way back when." It's like, "You should watch it on Monday." And I did, and I watched a lot of Nitro then.
What was he calling it? It wasn't he wasn't calling it was the New World Organization. But it was the New World Order. And that was the first thing he said.
That was the first thing he said, and that was the one that stuck.
Yeah, but he kept saying organization for some reason.
Then,
I don't know why.
What, Hulk Hogan flub his lines?
Nah. Silver Dome. But yeah, like Tony Schiavone signs off the broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
Signs off the broadcast with, "Hogan, you can go to hell."
Oh, yeah. That was good.
That was great.
Also, Mean Gene, you're fired. How can you play off? I was eavesdropping at the door, and there was this voice. It was a little muffled, but I feel like I recognize. You can't recognize the fucking Hulk Hogan. Fuck you. You're fired.
All right, so
You
that...
can go to hell too, Mean Gene.
Whoa,
Whoa!
Emily. All right, so that's going to bring us into what is going to be our final segment, everyone. So I'm going to bring you to our final cut. So let's get right to that. And final cut, we talk about what we loved, what we hated, and we're going to go from there. So the first part what we're gonna do is we're going to do, what was your prime cut, Mitch? We're gonna start with you. What was your prime cut of this pay-per-view? Your favorite part. Prime cut's your favorite part.
Prime cut, favorite part, hands down, Dean Malenko. I could watch that man 24/7. If you gave me a channel where his matches never ended and just went into each other, I could watch that and be happy.
You might get to see all 1,000 holds.
I would count them.
Yeah. Emily, what was your prime cut? Your prime cut.
Watching people boo Hulk Hogan. Literally watching Mean Gene go, look at all this crap in the ring.
This is garbage.
Just all of it, just raining down on Hulk Hogan.
My prime cut was going to be the Ray and Psychosis match.
Ooh.
I really liked that match. I really thought that was the best part of this card. I would not mind going back and watching it a second time. If you're like, you have to watch one match from Bash at the Beach, which one is it? I'm going to be like the opener, and that was to me, that was the best part. Like watching a young Rey Mysterio work. I love that luchador style, and seeing more submission. I liked that.
Yeah,
I really did. Dean Malenko would definitely be my number 2. And even with the story and how iconic this pay-per-view was, to me, sometimes it's just about the wrestling. I just like to watch the athleticism. So, all right, everybody, what are we throwing into the meat grinder? We're going to start with Mitch on this one.
All right, so meat grinder.
Meat grinder. This is the worst part, the thing you hated.
The one thing that I hated.
I have to choose one.
Carson City Silver Dollar match. that whole fucking match. Big Bubba, John Tenta, you guys are going to the meat grinder, grind them up. I hated that. This pay-per-view can go without that.
Emily, what's your meat grinder?
Well, I had originally wrote down for the Nasty Boys versus Public Enemy, because there's one thing I really do hate in wrestling, and that's just visual noise matches, and that's what that was to me. It was poorly constructed. It was
all over the place.
Chaos for chaos sakes.
With double camera.
Yeah, and really no good highlights on spots until you got to the end. And, toss it in.
Steve Mongo McMichael. that right there. Fuck that guy. Like, I mean, maybe you're a great dude. If you are, love it. But this was terrible. You give wrestling a bad name at this point. I just hated it. Seething with anger. That's how much I disliked that portion. That was it for me. So without further ado, I think that's gonna wrap up this episode of All That Beef Wrestling podcast. All this beef right here. So I just want to thank you guys for listening in. It is closing time for us, though. We have things that we have to do. So I just want to say I hope to see you again and again after that, guys.
Bye.
We'll make sure to come back to the shop.